electronic communications device. Pence is currently being held at the DuPage County Jail on $250,000 bond. An athletic director and 2 football coaches are stepping down following a hazing scandal at Lake Zurich High School. Rolando Vasquez, the athletic director, head football coach Dave Proffitt, and an assistant coach have all submitted their resignations. A probe into the October incident was closed last month without charges. NBA, Bulls missing Jimmy Butler, Nico Mirotic, and Denzel Valentine, and they fell to the Knicks, 104-89. College hoops, Northwestern, a win over Rutgers, 69-60. And how about this guy, Justin Thomas? Remember that name in a few months down as they play some golf at a place called the Masters? He sank a 15-foot eagle putt on his final hole to become the 7th player ever to shoot a 59, a legit 59, on the PGA Tour at a pretty hard course in Honolulu at the Sony Open. The news, a service of Burger King's breakfast. What's the best place to have your breakfast? How about on a warm croissant? Right now at Burger King, get 2 flaky croissant breakfast sandwiches for just $4. A light, flaky croissant, piled high with savory sausage or thick-cut smoked bacon. 2 croissant, $4 only at Burger King. Price and participation vary. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
From the Pilgrims at Plymouth Rock to the American Revolution to the Union's victory in the American Civil War, the divine hand of Providence has guided America's rise to greatness. Join Michael Medved as he tells the story of the American miracle. Presented by Active Alarm Company. Thursday, February 2nd at Belvedere Banquets in Elk Grove Village. Tickets for this special luncheon begin at just $32. Get yours today at 560theanswer.com/miracle. Sponsored in part by Best Dental Group.
If you're aged 59 and a half or older with the 401k plan and still working, stop what you're doing and call Arlington Capital Management at 855-471-5796. They'll help you actively manage your 401k, show you strategies to avoid major declines, and capitalize on opportunities. There are benefits with age, and this is one of them. At 59 and a half, you're entitled to new opportunities in the investment world that can dramatically improve your results and even lower your fees. Call 855-471-5796 now and take the first step toward getting more out of your retirement assets. The team at Arlington Capital Management proactively explores the market, our economy, and all of the variables that offset your investments. Call 855-471-5796 now for a complimentary consultation. That's 855-471-5796 or visit arlington-capital.com. You worked hard to accumulate your nest egg. Now, it's time to put your money to work for you.
Lately, it seems you're not feeling quite right. As if your body is working against you. Dr. Amy and Associates can help create a path to achieve optimal health. Experience personalized health care for your mind, body, and spirit at a practice that blends holistic and traditional medicine.
Hi, I'm Dr. Amy Harris-Nuan of Dr. Amy and Associates. One of the services we provide, mental health and wellness. We see children, adolescents, and adults for individuals, couples, and family counseling. We even do psychiatry and medication management. All of our thoughts, feelings, and actions are a result of those conditioned ways of thinking, feeling, and being that lead us to make decisions. And so I work with individuals to help them understand and help them create a new blueprint to move them from a negative mindset to a positive mindset.
Call Dr. Amy and Associates to experience a whole-person integrative approach to health and wellness. 630-980-1400 or visit dramyandassociates.com. Dr. Amy and Associates, empowering people, changing lives.
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow deplorables, ready for America to be great again?
The American people have spoken.
Time to celebrate the Trump-Pence inauguration and Obama leaving office. Don't let the door hit you in the... It's time to take our country back. Don't miss the Chicagoland inauguration Deplore-a-Ball. Friday, January 20th at Diplomat West Banquets, 681 West North Avenue in Elmhurst. A great time brought to you by the DuPage Deplorables, a grassroots effort for event planning and discussion for Trump supporters. They hope to raise enough funds to support their their populist cause by donating a portion of the proceeds to local township Republicans and other local conservative and Tea Party grassroots organizations. Don't you dare miss the Deplorable. Visit their Facebook group page, search for DuPage Deplorables on Facebook, or call 630-359-8200. That's 630-359-8200. The Chicagoland Inauguration Deplorable. Friday, January 20th at Diplomat West Banquets in Elmhurst. Be there.
We are going to make our country great again.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. I went from being able to work 14, 16 hours a day with no problem to where I could barely walk a block to the store. I went on to the phytonutrients about 6 months ago, and within a couple of months, my medical doctor had cut my prescriptions down in a little bit smaller dosage. The next time I went back a month later, I walked into the doctor's office and he says, "My gosh, what's happened to you? You don't even look like the same person." He looked at my legs and the swelling had gone down. My blood pressure was down. The venous stasis ulcers that I had had on my legs for the last 4 or 5 years because of the poor circulation were all healed, and I'm feeling far better.
The new challenge will allow you to receive 2 months of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies free. And we'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
510, check of the roads this early morning in our AM 560 traffic center, the latest with Jim Talamonte. Good morning, Jim.
Good Friday morning, Mike. Got some issues on the Ryan inbound. It is jammed from Cermak into the Burns Circle. Overnight road work is late in clearing. It is 27 minutes from 95th to downtown. Outbound Font at 15. The outbound Kennedy at Division, there's a crash. Car hit the wall there. The north side of Chicago, there's a fire in the 6100 block of North Broadway in the area between Thorndale and Devon. This is near Glen Lake. On 8094 westbound at Stop and Go Ripley to Central with road work in the 2 left lanes. Traffic is a service of Al Pamati Ford and Melrose Park. Stop before you buy your new car. You must visit Al Pamati Ford now. Truckloads of new cars and trucks have just arrived, and everything is priced to sell quickly. Al Pamati Ford is at 25th and North Avenue in Melrose Park. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the AirComfort.com Weather Center, here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Today, mostly cloudy and cold, high 26. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a passing late-night flurry, low 21. Mostly cloudy and warmer for tomorrow with a high 32. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
17 at O'Hare, 20 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update is at 5:30. Continuous news coverage at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by In the Know with Wealth Management Group, hosted by Craig Bolanos. Heard Sunday mornings at 10.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. And is Joe Biden as good a man as God ever created? Wow.
What? It was.
Wow.
Everybody grab your handkerchiefs, grab your Kleenex. That was so emotional yesterday.
So yesterday,
the biggest surprise of his lifetime. Okay?
President Obama awarded Joe Biden the Presidential Medal of Freedom, saying, Joe, just as I earned the Nobel Peace Prize, so have you earned the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
So, Joe, for your faith in your fellow Americans, for your love of country, and for your lifetime of service that will endure through the generations, I'd like to ask the military aide to join us on stage.
Oh, no, you didn't.
For the final time as president,
here come the waterworks.
I am pleased to award our nation's highest civilian honor.
Oh, stop
the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Turn around.
No, you didn't.
Turn your back to the crowd.
No, you didn't. Oh, you.
Gain composure. Gain your composure.
Yeah, so that was the award. Oh,
I'm sorry. Why are you stepping on my dog?
I'm not. She's starved for attention. What's happening at home? You haven't been loaning her out to a Texas sheriff, have you?
Too soon.
You had to hear the end of the show to get it. I'm not going to repeat it.
That's so.
The question is Joe Biden a worthy recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom for his faith in the American people and whatever other ersatz accomplishments President Obama delineated? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 646-36DA is the turnkey.pro text line. Here is the citation that the aide-de-camp read before the Medal of Honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the Presidential Medal of Freedom was conferred.
Vice President Joseph R. Biden, Jr. In a career of public service spanning nearly half a century, Vice President Joseph R. Biden, Jr. has left his mark on almost every part of our nation, fighting for a stronger middle class, a fairer judicial system, and a smarter foreign policy, providing unyielding support for our troops, combating crime and violence against women, leading our quest to cure cancer, and safeguarding the landmark American Recovery and Reinvestment Act from corruption. With his charm, candor, unabashed optimism, and deep and abiding patriotism, Joe Biden has garnered the respect and esteem of colleagues of both parties, and the friendship of people across the nation and around the world, while summoning the strength, faith, and grace to overcome great personal tragedy. This son of Scranton, Claymont, and Wilmington has become one of the most consequential vice presidents in American history.
Ooh, boy, safeguarding Obama's porculus from corruption, leading the quest to cure cancer, for the last 8 months, because Obama mentioned the State of the Union address. These are his signature accomplishments. And hey, look, everybody stand up for Joe. Hey, you two in the wheelchair. Stand up for Joe in tribute to Joe Biden's string of gaffes over the years.
I know everybody thinks this is just, patronage, give pain back when you're best friends, but he called him his brother. And he joked around that now we'll give the social media one last chance to mock their bromance. But Joe Biden, come on. When you saw him cry, you think about his son who recently passed away from cancer. You think about his dedication to service. He's been senator for, 30-plus years?
I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry. Dedication to service. So if you serve in the Senate for 3 decades, that, regardless of the substance of your record, that you should be conferred a Medal of Freedom with distinction that's only be given to 3 other individuals: Pope John Paul II, Ronald Reagan, and Colin Powell.
Is he in that same class of people? Is he in that same group of people? Joe Biden.
I assume that's a
Ronald
rhetorical
Reagan?
question.
Yeah.
What is the substance of Joe Biden's work? He's a political hack. What is Joe Biden?
He's like the scrappy guy. He's our blue collar guys.
Presidential Medal of Freedom. Yeah. One of our most consequential vice presidents. In what way?
What did he accomplish as vice president?
Well, what's the thing?
He went to the beer summit and had the non-alcohol beer.
What's the thing over his 30 years in the Senate prior to being vice president that you'll remember most?
What bills did he author? I don't know. I don't know.
What's the most? When I think of Joe Biden, I think of plagiarism.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I think of. Because that's the perfect encapsulation of Joe Biden. He's a copycat hack. And he did it when he was plagiarizing Neil Kinnock's speeches running for president in 1988.
The Neil Kinnock?
Yeah, the labor leader in Britain at the time. And now he's... And over the course of the then subsequent 30 years, it's just been more Me Tooing. Whatever the zeitgeist is.
Here he is accepting the award that he received by surprise.
I can say I was part of the journey of a remarkable man who did remarkable things for this country.
So it's a mutual admiration society.
Yeah.
Yawn. This is awards without accomplishment. This is the same thing as giving Barack Obama the Nobel Peace Prize. It's the same thing. Joe Biden earned the Presidential Medal of Freedom in the same way that President Obama earned the Nobel Peace Prize.
I think President Obama was a little bit more surprised, though, than Joe Biden was yesterday.
Patrick in Schaumburg, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
When I saw that, I thought it was the Tin Man getting his heart from The Wizard of Oz.
There you go. Yes.
And when I was waiting for you to come on, I hear Toto barking in the background there.
That's right. We're not in Kansas anymore over here, Patrick. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Ed in Oak Brook.
You know what I'll always remember about Joe Biden is that he chickened out running against Hillary Clinton because he would have beat her easily. He didn't even have to do much. And that's what I'll always remember him by. Thank you.
Thanks for the call, Ed. I mean, the other thing, of course, I'll remember Joe Biden in terms of his leadership in the hair plugs movement.
Oh, yes.
I mean, as one of the most prominent people to plant an alfalfa field in his forehead in American history.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Does anybody have that tranquilizer gun? You got a dart in your neck. Calm that beast down. Today, mostly cloudy, cold, a high of just 26 degrees. And the weekend, we're going to have mostly sunny and some clouds on Saturday, a high of 32. And on Sunday, variable cloudiness, a high of 34. Let's get those travel times. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Good Friday morning, Amy and Dan. Seeing delays on 8094 westbound. Jammed Grant to Chase. There's road work in the two right lanes there. South Shoreline trains are back to their normal service, as Mike Scott mentioned earlier this morning. After yesterday's icing problem shut down the line, everything's expected to be back to normal today, and so far it is. Kennedy outbound at Division got a crash, and then another at Addison. Two separate crashes causing a little bit of a delay. 22 minutes downtown to O'Hare. Inbound Pond at 20. Inbound Ryan's jammed. Cermak into the Burns Circle with overnight roadwork late and clearing. It's 27 minutes, 95th to downtown. Jim Talamonte in the AM 560 Traffic Center.
Have you ever mistakenly deleted a file and gone into a panic? Are you still trying to figure out cloud migration? Do you have any clue what a hybrid integration is? Well, if you want to save time and money, then let the professionals at Turnkey IT customize a solution that's sized just right for you and your company. For 2 decades now, Turnkey IT has become the brand businesses trust for their IT needs. Why? Because Turnkey IT understands small businesses just like yours. They have monthly plans available for your team of 100, or if there's a plan customized for your individual system. Turnkey IT has a solution. They even have equipment included if you want to go all in. And their great team of professionals help users every day with the network monitoring to help desk to on-site support 24/7 weekends, holidays. You get the drill. So stop worrying about your technology and let it work for you. Visit turnkey.pro today. That's turnkey.pro.
Hi, I'm Todd Pals, owner of Homewood Bat Company, a top quality baseball bat made right here in the Chicagoland area. Homewood Bat Company is all about using the best in materials and craftsmanship to create a truly remarkable baseball bat. I've been a client of Precision Payroll for a number of years, and when I started the Homewood Bat Company, I wanted them on my team. From working with me when I had 1,200 employees at another company, and now with less than 50, their service has been exceptional and their value is unrivaled. You want more runs in the game? Give Homewood Bat Company a look. You need a home run for your business? Precision Payroll should be the next call you make.
Thank you, Todd. It is so cool to see you make Americana. Precision Payroll would like to go to bat for you. Call me at 630-242-1507. That's 630-242-1507. Or on the web at precisionpayroll.com.
My name is David Hochberg, and I'm Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, give me a call. Tom, Chicago firefighter, called to refinance his $400,000 5% non-reaffirmed mortgage. Until recently, Tom's only option would have been to pay down his loan over $35,000 and secure a FHA loan. I have outstanding news. My team can now refinance homeowners discharged at least 4 years from a Chapter 7 bankruptcy into a conventional loan instead of an FHA loan. This is a huge game changer for borrowers looking to refinance their non-reaffirmed mortgages after a Chapter 7. If you like to refinance out of your non-reaffirmed mortgage with a ridiculously high rate, like Tom did, give me a call now at 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. I've helped thousands of AM560 listeners, but I can't help if you don't call 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage and Equal Housing Lender, Illinois Residential Mortgage License 4358, RMLA, NMLS 19186.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy are talking about one hack feting another hack with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And what, as Biden plagiarized Neil Kinnock, did I just hear that President Obama plagiarized as well?
Oh, yeah.
It is, as Joe once said, a big deal.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I had to
No.
quote an Irish poet.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, that's it. The Irish
Think
poet.
where man's glory most begins and ends, and say my glory was I had such friends.
Oh, at least he cited an Irish poet. He probably doesn't know who that Irish poet is. Do you?
No.
Yeah.
And he said green eggs and ham.
It's William Butler Yeats, and Obama is a hack, is a pseudo-intellect.
Well, so are you saying that they've turned the Medal of Freedom into the equivalent of a participation trophy? Like, thanks for coming out, thanks for your years, and thanks for your decades.
You're the
in
best
Senate.
ever. No, you
There you
are. Randy and Aurora on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Somebody needs to let old Crazy Joe know that his award he got yesterday holds the same amount of gravitas as the number one dad coffee mug he gets on every Father's Day.
I'm the number one dad. Thanks for the call, Randy. I like that. That's good. And it is. I mean, you're cheapening an award that has been conferred to great Americans for great accomplishments by, of course, giving it to Joe Biden, just as the Nobel Peace Prize has been rendered virtually meaningless by conferring it to the likes of Barack Obama and, I don't know, Al Gore, Yasser Arafat. Brad and Rockford, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer. Hey, Brad.
Remember that Joe Biden back in 1975 was one of 5 senators that voted against the Alaska pipeline.
Yeah. Yeah, right. The current, another one of his accomplishments. Is that what you're saying?
History of bad decisions.
Yes, exactly.
Thanks, buddy. See ya.
Thanks for the call, Brad. That's exactly right. Okay, enough on Joe Biden. I did want to get to this quickly. We'll talk about it a little bit later in the show in greater detail when one Brett Baer joins us, when Jed Babin joins us at the top of the 7 and 8 o'clock hours, respectively. But hey, looky here.
What? Look who's coming to town, or is that for later too?
No, there is actually
Bill Clinton's girlfriend.
a group of dreamers. Yeah. There are a group of immigrants that President Obama actually doesn't want in this country. They're anti-communists.
Oh.
That's who he doesn't want here because President Obama announced yesterday he's terminating the 22-year-old, quote-unquote, wet feet policy that allowed Cubans who arrived on U.S. soil without visas to remain in this country and gain legal residency, which is something that the dictatorship in Cuba has wanted for a long time. Obama said in a statement, effective immediately, Cuban nationals who attempt to enter the U.S. illegally and do not qualify for humanitarian relief will be subject to removal consistent with U.S. law and enforcement policies. We are treating Cuban migrants the same way we treat migrants from other countries. Not exactly. Not exactly. Because the way we treat migrants from other countries is we have a de facto open border policy. That's been the policy of this administration. Cuban immigrants fleeing the repression of the last half century of the Castro's regime now going to be turned back. Isn't that interesting? That's another one of his accomplishments that was mentioned in his farewell address. The change in relationship with the bloodthirsty dictatorship in Cuba. So how about that? Anti-communist Cuban nationals seeking political asylum from totalitarian repression, they get sent back. But people come in here for economic reasons. Hey, keep people coming here just to access the welfare state or at least to have that as a backup? No problem. How about that? All of the high-minded left that are welcoming the poor and huddled masses from countries that violate their human rights on a routine basis.
So if people try to get on a boat, which they do every day, or a raft to go to Miami, and they get caught, they're going to be sent right back?
That's what he said. There's your Nobel Peace Prize winner.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
I'm Dan Proft.
And I'm Amy Jacobson.
And we want to say thanks to each and every one of you who helped us to reach our goal of providing food for a year and water for life for 2,000 kids and counting in Haiti and Guatemala.
Your generosity means that these children will have a shot at living a happy and healthy life despite the enormous challenges they face.
And just because the Christmas season is over and we're starting a new year, that doesn't mean the need has gone away. You can still make a difference in the life of a child by making a $50 donation to Food for the Poor. Food for the Poor is one of America's largest and most trusted charities. Since 1982, they've been helping the poorest of the poor by directing resources directly to those in the greatest need.
Just call 855-880-3663. That's 855-880-FOOD, or go to 560theanswer.com, keyword food.
And thanks to the many business benefactors who supported this campaign, when you hear their ads on the radio station this year, we'd ask that you support their businesses as a way of thanking them for their generosity. The website, upstream-ideas.com. Go there today and sign up to access premium content. Free to sign up, by the way, and you access premium content that complements what we do here on this show. Long-form interviews like our Against the Current interview with Steve Cortez, Trump surrogate this week. Man on the Street, Follow the Logic, back and forths like the one posted this week. Engaging University of Chicago students. Podcasts of our Illinois Rising program, which covers state politics and policy, as well as selected interviews from this show. It's all at upstream-ideas.com.
And coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer,
more political theater from Democrats at various confirmation hearings. We'll have it at 5:38.
But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
16 degrees this morning. A very interesting weather weekend shaping up. We have clouds here, and we expect fairly tame conditions throughout the Chicago area, but a winter storm is going to pound the southern plains. As the National Weather Service tells us this morning, ice and heavy rain will spread widespread across the region. Power outages and major flooding are expected.
For the total event, this is all the way through Sunday. And as you can see, anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to 3/4 of an inch of ice expected for the entire forecast area.
The storm could even affect Sunday's NFL game when the Chiefs host the Pittsburgh Steelers. Meantime, as that weather continues to roll through the area, the National Weather Service says especially the state of Missouri will be in the grips of up to an inch of ice, and that will affect Sunday's NFL game when the Chiefs host the Pittsburgh Steelers. The House expected to join Republican rollback of Obamacare today. House members will take up a resolution the Senate passed yesterday. House Speaker Paul Ryan calling it a procedural start to the orderly repeal of the Health Insurance Reform Act.
Without getting into all the little legislative mumbo-jumbo, we want to do this at the same time, and in some cases in the same bill.
Okay.
So we want to advance repealing this law with its replacement at the same time.
Ryan insisting the law will be replaced again in an orderly step-by-step manner. The FBI director welcoming a Justice Department investigation into what the Bureau did ahead of the presidential election. Airbag maker Takata expected to plead guilty to criminal charges as early as today. The guilty plea is part of a $1 billion settlement over exploding airbags that killed 16 around the world. Chicago city officials are expecting to hear from the Justice Department this morning that the police department routinely violated the constitutional rights of some citizens. Mayor Rahm Emanuel got in front of that report last night, saying the city will use results revealed this morning as a way to continue police reform. The Illinois Supreme Court will decide if a law allowing not-for-profit hospitals in the state to skip paying property taxes is constitutional. New York beat the Bulls 104-89. The news service of Burger King's breakfast. What's the best place to have your breakfast? How about on a warm croissant? Right now at Burger King, get 2 Croissant breakfast sandwiches for just $4. A light, flaky croissant piled high with savory sausage or delicious thick-cut smoked bacon. 2 Croissant, $4 only at Burger King. Price and participation vary. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher tells the president it's time to worry about other things.
But Mr. Putin is well aware of my feelings about this because I spoke to him directly about it.
Mr. President, you got to just pack. You just got to pack your bags. You got to pack up the furniture. You just got to pack up your furniture. You got to get the movers all lined up. You're moving out. You're not going to retaliate against Russia.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's Galaxy's free sale. Free installation, free design, and free financing.
773-783-8300. Call Galaxy.
Hey, what's up? Holla at your boy. XOXOXO. You getting these texts? Question mark. Where are you? What are you doing? OMG, you are making me mad. You better text me back. I'm waiting outside your house.
Relentless, aggressive texting is like sending an angry robot to deliver your message. When does the robot become dangerous? Let us know at that'snotcool.com.
That'snotcool.com.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
535, we like history here in the AM 560 Traffic Center. 38 years ago today, what happened, Jim Talamonte?
38 years ago today.
I'm holding the picture right in my hand. Can you see it?
I can't.
It's all the buses stranded on Chicago roadways because...
The blizzard.
Yes, the blizzard of 79 began on this date.
Got some days off school for that.
Yes, yes, you did. And nothing like that on our roads right now.
No such luck, kids. Everyone's back, and if you take the South Shore line to work or school, you're back on schedule. Trains at this moment are running as normal after yesterday's icing issues. If you're headed out for what for many is a holiday weekend with Martin Luther King Day on Monday, flight boards at O'Hare show very few delays, a small handful, and everything looks good at Midway. But the outbound Kennedy has problems. Diversey to Addison, it's jammed. Crash, 3 left lanes are blocked. 35 minutes downtown to O'Hare. It's fine inbound. The Rhine, very slow inbound, starting around 35th. We're at 43rd on the Express. There was overnight roadwork late in clearing. 28 minutes, 95th to downtown. Traffic. Service of Burger King's breakfast. What's the best place to have your breakfast? How about on a warm croissant? Right now at Burger King, get 2 croissant breakfast sandwiches for just $4. A light, flaky croissant piled high with savory sausage or delicious thick-cut smoked bacon. 2 croissant for $4 only at Burger King. Price and participation vary. Traffic answers when you need them most. Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Cloudy and cold today, high 26. Currently, 17. Next news at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the IRS Radio Hour with attorney Stephen Leahy every Sunday afternoon at 5 on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So Tiny Dancer is going to stand with Loretta Lynch at a dais today to welcome the Department of Justice report on the Chicago Police Department, which, as we already know from the Star Chamber that Tiny Dancer convened, the perspective of the radical left Democrat, the Chicago institutional Democrat, is that the 12,000 person Chicago police force is an institution that is systemically racist and has little regard for the rights of minority families in the city of Chicago. That's what the preview was based on the report that Lori Lightfoot and her gang promulgated, and I suspect that will be echoed by Loretta Lynch. In fact, that's the preview of it is suggesting that that will very much be the case. So just remember again, the Chicago Police Force, and we'll talk to Dean Angelo, FOP president, at the bottom of the 7 o'clock hour about this. The Chicago Police Department, which is nearly 50% black and Latino, about a third black. So, I mean, it actually tracks fairly closely with the racial demographics of the city of Chicago. Those 4,000 some officers, African-American officers, those couple thousand Latino officers, they are part of an institution, and I assume, they have to take their share of the culpability for being essentially a roving gang that seeks to infringe upon the rights of minority families. And we wonder why stops are down precipitously and violent crime is up precipitously, 20-year highs last year, as D'Angelo predicted on this show back in the spring, that we were going to have a bloody 2016 because of the climate that has been created by the civilian political leadership, by the civilian political leadership of the city of Chicago, and backed up by the National Democrats, since we scaled this model nationally, that the police know the civilian political leadership does not have their back.
No, they don't. And Mayor Emanuel, I just wonder if he's going to meet her on the tarmac. See what I did there?
Oh, very nice.
And greet her?
Yeah. Oh.
But he said that Dan, that
that would be purely coincidental if it happened.
I was just on my way to baggage claim, and I ran into Loretta Lynch on the tarmac. They have a little secret meeting in her private plane.
Do you think Jeff Sessions is going to prosecute me for some crimes?
I was just wondering. But they'll meet at the Dirksen Federal Building this morning. But Rahm Emanuel, who's been briefed on parts of the report, looking forward to her visit and the DOJ investigation.
I don't know what the next administration's interests are. I do know what our interests are. And we as a city are on the road to reform and doing it in a way that our police officers are supported.
I wonder, we have a lot of police that listen to this show.
Yes, we do.
You think that's what's happening, as Tiny Dancer suggests, that Chicago is on the road to reform? I'm not sure where point A was and where point B is, but we're on some road to reform where police officers will be supported. Is that the feeling out there? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 646-36DA, turnkey.pro text line. Because I haven't surveyed the 12,000-person department, but from the police officers I know in Chicago, that's not the feeling I'm getting.
No, and Pew Research Center just did a national survey with police officers. 86% say their jobs are harder because of relations between police and African Americans.
I wonder,
and then you look at how 68 police officers were killed last year in the line of duty. 21 were ambushed.
Now,
we've never had those kind of numbers.
Now, I think that Black Lives Matter symposium is still going on at Northwestern. I hope it is, because it's very important. That's a practicum. That's at least a practicum worthy of a quarter's worth of scholarship. Maybe if that is, then Tiny Dancer and Loretta can go up to Evanston and discuss that with the real deep thinkers, the Black Lives Matter folks, and the self-indulgent rich kids going to Northwestern and so forth.
Maybe she could raise the flag this morning.
Yes, that would be nice.
Go up there first, raise the flag, and then go to the Dirksen Federal Building and meet with reporters.
I think that would be nice. I think that'd
We've got a little nice Friday planned for her, huh?
I think that'd be appropriate symbolism. By the way, well, let's take Randy and Crown Point. Then this O'Hare matter with aviation police in the wake of the Fort Lauderdale shooting. We have to get to this as well. Randy, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Morning, guys. Before I start, I want to actually say that I am hugely in support of police officers, and this is not a blanket statement over all police officers, but the report, the elephant in the room in this report is that the Chicago Police Department is systemically racist.
Yeah.
Who put the system into place? Who has been appointing the commissioner? Who has been prosecuting the few bad law enforcement officers that have created this environment? The Democrats for how many decades? So if it's systemically racist, the system comes from the Democrat Party. It always had. Remember the Dixiecrats. Remember all the nonsense growing up in the South. The Democrats are in charge of the racism of this nation. They just turned it into a political toy and football now to make it look like the Republicans are the ones. But the Democrats are the ones that have created the system that creates the systemic racism in this situation.
Thanks for the call, Randy. Well, two things. One is I think it's a good point you raise in this sense. I don't believe the Chicago Police Department is systemically racist. I think it's absurd. And if the evidence to support that contention is of the quality that was presented in the Lori Lightfoot report, the Rahm Star Chamber report, then that does not in any way persuade. There's no substantiation for that claim. It's a political statement without much corroboration. It's something you would get in like a Trump dossier. So that's number one. But number two, your point that, okay, if you say this is systemically racist, let's just start from your premise for the sake of argument. Who's been in charge of Chicago for 100 years? Who makes personnel decisions at the leadership level in the Chicago Police Department and has for 100 years? So then you have been aiding and abetting the institutionalization of racism in the Chicago Police Department if we're to accept the conclusions of your report. Isn't that true, Mayor Tiny Dancer? Do you think Fran Spielman will make that point at the press conference today? I doubt it.
She'll be there.
Dan and Gurnee, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I've been a police officer for over 25 years, and people lately have been asking me, am I angry with what's going on? I say, no, it's worse. I go, police officers, my friends, we're heartbroken. And when you have that emotion coming in and all you're worried about is make home alive, you really don't serve your community the way you should. And it's all around the country. Everyone I talk to, everyone I deal with, there's this sadness.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Dan. I appreciate that. And, and it's one thing that we should highlight. There's a difference between what craven politicians think of the police and how they use the police to their political ends and rank and file citizens. Let me give you an example. This story out of Arizona. An armed passing motorist credited saving the life of an Arizona state trooper by shooting and killing a gunman who ambushed the trooper in the middle of a lonely interstate highway before dawn yesterday. Oh. Frank Milstead, who's the director of the Arizona Department of Public Safety, said, quote, I would just say at this point, thank you, because I don't know that my trooper would be alive today without his assistance. The trooper...
Who's the hero's name?
The trooper...
Yeah.
I'm not sure that they disclosed that.
They might not have.
The trooper spotted a rollover accident, stopped to investigate, began blocking off the scene, and a woman who was believed to have been ejected from the vehicle was later determined to have died at the scene. As the trooper exited his vehicle and began to lay out flares, he was ambushed by the suspect. In the initial confrontation, the suspect shoots the trooper in the shoulder and right chest area at least one time, possibly twice, disabling the use of the trooper's right hand and right arm. The gunman then attacks the trooper with his hand, bashing his head into the pavement. That's when a passing motorist stops. The trooper exclaimed, please help me. That person retreats back to his vehicle, removes his own weapon from the vehicle, confronts the suspect, giving him orders to stop assaulting the officer. The suspect refuses. The uninvolved third party fires, striking and killing the suspect. He was only identified as a man who was traveling to California with his wife. Oh. How about that story? How about that story in the context of good guys with guns versus bad guys, period, and bad guys with guns in particular? How about that story? So, I mean, for police out there, just remember that what you hear from the craven like Tiny Dancer is not what the attitude is among the body politic. So please separate the two. Oh, and another related note, another good news for police. So, trying to encourage a little optimism here. A judge has ruled that the case for malicious prosecution against Baltimore State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby can go forward.
Oh, really?
So after
last I saw her, she was line dancing on Twitter.
Maybe she'll have more time to do that. And when she's separated from her position, at minimum, hopefully, but a political prosecution. And, who watches the watchmen, right? Who prosecutes the prosecutors? Well, the police officers who were wrongly prosecuted, sans evidence, dismissal after dismissal after dismissal, African-American judge in Baltimore, by the way, dismissing those cases. And the police officers have now responded in kind, and good for them, to try and hold her accountable for a politicized prosecution. And that case moves forward. So maybe there is a little bit of accountability even within the system in addition to outside the system.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, Pete, 20 more pallets backing up right now. Come over here with the forklift. Don't bring them in here, man. We've got no place to put them, and we're officially out of room, buddy.
JRC Warehousing.
Well, we're getting 20 pallets dumped right here whether we like it or not. Well, unless they get stored in your living room, I don't know what to tell you.
JRC Warehousing.
It says right here in our inventory system that we have room for 50.
And you're going to trust the control system that's older than my great-grandparents? JRC Warehousing.
We can't be the only place that's run a storage room before, man. Think.
Yeah, how about I go buy one of those magic wands for you? Good luck. JRC Warehousing offers complete solutions for your warehouse and trucking demands. No magic wands needed. Trucking requirements? No problem. Warehouse storage? No problem. Pull a rabbit out of your hat by calling JRC Warehousing for a no-obligation needs analysis and quote. 847-329-5030. That's 847-329-5030. Or visit jrcwarehousing.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I'm telling you right now, it's awesome. I was trying to get my blood pressure regulated, okay? And like after 3 days of taking this thing, my blood pressure went back down to normal. I am ecstatic. I am so happy with this stuff. It is my savior.
This was the first summer that I have not had to have a steroid shot to help me to breathe.
The reason why I'm taking it because I've got Hep C. Once I began taking your stuff, it took a few months, but believe it or not, my liver enzymes are way down and it's normal now. It works.
The new challenge will allow you to receive 2 months of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies free. And we'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life, but I should have ordered it like 15 years ago.
If you're fortunate enough to have an IRA, 401k, or other qualified plan, you also have a tax problem. For example, a $1 million IRA is really worth as little as $600,000 after taxes. Do you really want to give $400,000 or more of your hard-earned retirement savings to the IRS? Most investors and even financial advisors have no idea that a tax-free, market risk-free solution approved by the federal government has been available for more than 15 years. Known as an IRA reboot, it provides tax-free lifetime income and a death benefit for beneficiaries. It can even be used to cover college costs or provide long-term care, all without risk from market losses. And unlike an IRA or 401k, there are no limitations on the amount you can contribute. For your free illustration and financial analysis, a $399 value, call Kelly Financial Services at 708-576-8999. That's 708-576-8999 today.
AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, join our good friend Michael Medved for a special luncheon in Elk Grove Village on Thursday, February 2nd, when he retells the story of the American Miracle. It's presented by Active Alarm Company, and tickets start at just $32 and include a plated lunch. VIP tickets are also available and include a meet and greet with Michael Medved, plus a copy of his new book. So visit 560theanswer.com/miracle for more information. And right now, win a pair of tickets by being caller number what? Caller number, what do you say, Dan?
3.
Caller number 3. Maybe 13 because it's Friday the 13th. All right, caller number 13.
I already said 3.
All right, fine.
It shall be 3. It's been so decreed.
312-642-5600. Win a pair of tickets right now to see Michael Medved on Thursday, February 2nd, brought to you by our good friends at Active Alarm Company. Caller number 3 wins a pair of tickets. 312-642-5600.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one. Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Chuck Spraveri, CEO of Spraveri's Custom Counters, a Chicagoland manufacturer of residential and commercial countertops. If there's a local commercial bank who knows how to get a deal done, it's Signature Bank. When my brother and I needed it, Signature Bank came through with a creative financing solution. That's because Signature Bank has experience working with companies like ours, a second-generation, family-owned and operated manufacturer. Our business matters to Signature Bank, and that comes through in every visit and every phone call with their team, right up to the bank's co-founders, Kevin, Mick, and Brian. Spaveris is proud to bank with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
It's tax season. Are you prepared? Do you need help? Corporate and personal tax deadlines are approaching fast. It's time to call Timothy C. Wolf, CPA, an expert in tax preparation, IRS representation, and payroll filings. Tim is knowledgeable about current tax legislation and how to maximize your deductions. He'll have your tax return electronically filed, and any refund will be direct deposited to your account. Don't miss quarterly tax deadlines. Don't wait to the last minute to file. Trust your taxes with an experienced professional. Let Timothy C. Wolf, CPA, plan and prep your corporate and personal taxes now. Call anytime for a free review of your past 3 business or personal tax returns. 847-818-0400. 847-818-0400. Make an appointment today and receive 20% off your first-time 2016 tax preparation. Timothy C. Wolf, CPA. Find him at afreetaxreview.com. afreetaxreview.com.
Hi, this is Andy Bishop from Midwest Performance Cars. We want to be a part of making 2017 your best year for auto service. Experience our transparent repair process with pictures and video to clearly show you what's going on with your car. One-on-one personalized attention you won't get anywhere else. And the Midwest Performance Cars 3-year, 100,000-mile warranty is the best in the business, period. You'll get expert trained technicians taking care of your European vehicle and treating it like their own. We regularly get customers from other shops and dealerships that can't diagnose or repair their vehicle. And at Midwest Performance Cars, your convenience is our priority. Eliminate the hassle of the usual repair ordeal while your car receives the best care. The drop-off process takes less than 5 minutes, and complimentary Uber and Lyft service take you wherever you need to be. Call Midwest Performance Cars today at 312-432-9492 or book online at MidwestPerformanceCars.com.
If you own a business, you'll do everything you can to keep the lights on. The thing is, keeping those lights on can be much more cost-effective than you ever imagined. And Twin Supplies can help. Twin Supplies specializes in helping businesses, public entities, and nonprofits get energy efficient with their lighting and take advantage of incentives from utility companies to help with energy improvement costs. From restaurants to schools, churches, and stadiums, they'll walk you through every step to realize maximum money savings in energy efficiency. Your maintenance staff will spend less time changing bulbs with worry-free fixtures that feature up to a 10-year warranty. Plus, the quality of your lighting will improve, resulting in improved working conditions and safety. Find out how much your commercial business can save with a free energy audit from Twin Supplies. Utility companies change their incentives frequently and funds can run out. Now is the time to take action. Don't wait. Call 630-590-5138 or log on to twinsupplies.net and take charge of your business's energy efficiency. twinsupplies.net.
5:56, 5:57 now in Chicago. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. 16 degrees and cloudy skies. Let's get an update on our early morning roads in the AM 560 Traffic Center with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. In Naperville, there's a fire on Ogden Avenue east of 59. Ogden is open at the moment. Kennedy outbound jammed. Fullerton to Addison after a crash. It's 43 minutes downtown to O'Hare, inbound 21. Eden's fine, inbound Ike. Little heavy past Manheim. Stevenson now 40 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 34. Ryan 28 minutes, 95th to downtown after overnight work cleared late. Traffic is a service of Office Depot Office Max. Small businesses can stock up and save on ink at Office Depot Office Max. Buy one HB ink cartridge, get the second one 40% off, in-store and online. Office Depot Office Max. Gear up for great. Ends 114, limit 2, multi-packs count as 1. Traffic answers when you need them most. Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
As Chicago's Morning Answer continues, your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, the very latest with our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Today, mostly cloudy and cold, high 26. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a passing late-night flurry, low 21. Mostly cloudy and warmer for tomorrow with a high 32. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
At 5:58, here are the stories we're following at this hour. City officials are expecting to hear from the Justice Department this morning that the police department routinely violated the constitutional rights of some Chicago citizens. Some city employees are getting an unpleasant surprise at the beginning of this year when their doctors or pharmacists are telling them their insurance has expired. City claims it's all just a technical error. Charges are pending after someone crashed a stolen car into a home on Chicago's northwest side near Warwick and Cicero Avenues. Former Chicago high school teacher received a probation sentence after pleading guilty to sexually abusing a 15-year-old boy. Benjamin Zolo pleaded guilty to aggravated criminal sexual abuse charges. The 34-year-old Zolo taught at Lincoln Park High School and contacted that boy online. An athletic director and 2 football coaches are stepping down following a hazing scandal at Lake Zurich High School. Rolando Vasquez, the athletic director, and head coach David Profit, along with an assistant, have all submitted their resignations. Chicago sports. Knicks over the Bulls, 104-89. Bulls missing swingman Jimmy Butler, Nikola Mirotic, and Denzel Valentine because of illness. They dropped their 3rd straight. The news service of LifeLock. Use promo code RISK to save 10% at LifeLock.com. A winter storm is set to pound the southern plains. WIND Chicago News Time, 6.
Some of President-elect Trump's cabinet nominees have been contradicting his views in confirmation hearings on some issues. He writes on Twitter this morning, though, all of my cabinet nominees are looking good and doing a great job. I want them to be themselves and express their own thoughts, not mine. The president-elect's defense secretary nominee needs special permission from Congress to get the job. He might get it today. General James Mattis retired from the Marine Corps about 3 years ago. He needs a waiver of a federal law barring commissioned officers from serving as Secretary of Defense for 7 years post-retirement. That waiver made it through the Senate yesterday. It goes before the House today. At his confirmation hearing, General Mattis said the U.S. needs more deterrence to threats from terrorists and Russia. Next week, hearings are on the agenda for South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley as UN ambassador and Andy Puzder as Labor Secretary. President Obama admits in an interview with 60 Minutes airing on Sunday.
There were times during my presidency where I lost the PR battle.
And he says that's part of the job. He says there were times when even though he thought his administration was doing the right thing, he couldn't turn public opinion enough to force Republicans to cooperate with him. A big part of the country could be under a sheet of ice by the end of the weekend.
An extensive, widespread, crippling ice storm is unfolding across the southern plains up into the Ohio Valley and the mid-Atlantic through Sunday. People that live anywhere from Texas towards Virginia needs to be on alert for dangerous icy conditions that are going to last for several days. Meanwhile, heavy snow will be possible north of the boundary from the Rockies to the northern plains, with flooding rainfall south of the freezing line.
That's Fox meteorologist Janice Dean. A storm overnight's knocked out power to 200,000 homes in northern France. Hundreds of thousands of people in China are packing airports and train and bus stations today, heading home to their families for Lunar New Year's celebrations. They expect around 3 billion trips during the holiday travel rush starting today. This is Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
From the Pilgrims at Plymouth Rock to the American Revolution to the Union's victory in the American Civil War, the divine hand of Providence has guided America's rise to greatness. Join Michael Medved as he tells the story of the American miracle. Presented by Active Alarm Company. Thursday, February 2nd at Belvedere Banquets in Elk Grove Village. Tickets for this special luncheon begin at just $32. Get yours today at 560theanswer.com/miracle. Sponsored in part by Chicago Anesthesia and Pain Specialists.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-348-2121. That's 1-800-348-2121. 1-800-348-2121. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop, you save. Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price can vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
This hourly segment is brought to you by The Lou Bridges Show, a show about the greatest financial crime in history. Saturday mornings at 8 on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line 64636DA, turnkey.pro. Text line. So the confirmation hearings continue to expand. Yesterday, Mad Dog Mattis was up. Dr. Ben Carson for DOD, Dr. Ben Carson for HUD was up. Keep track of all the alphabet soup agencies here.
Yes.
And Mike Pompeo for CIA was up. And the Democrats' disgraceful political demonstrations at these confirmation hearings continue unabated, trying to one-up Dick Durbin's effort to Frank Pantangeli, Jeff Sessions, earlier in the week, were Pocahontas on Carson, Kamala the Ugandan giant on what?
That's what the Ugandan giant?
Kamala the Ugandan giant.
Is that the Ugandan
That was on
giant?
Mattis.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. Gillibrand, Kristen Gillibrand from New York was on Mattis, and Kamala the Ugandan giant was on Pompeo. Kamala the Ugandan giant was the wrestler. You remember Kamala the Ugandan giant? Yeah, Kamala Harris, the senator from California. I think actually it's funny. Kamala the Ugandan giant, I think his real name is like Jim Harris. You know.
Okay, I'm gonna look up this.
Oh, he was a great villain.
WWE?
No, we're going old school.
What?
We're going when
the
I
original?
was a toddler. Yeah, WWF. We're going Mean Gene Okerlund era. We're going Bobby the Brain Heenan, Jimmy the Mouth of the South Heart.
Hulk Hogan?
Yeah, Hulk Hogan, Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff.
Okay.
I'm not going all the way back to Vern Gagne and Dick the Bruiser. I'm going to, my era. And Kamala the Ugandan giant
Randy
was central.
Savage?
Baron von Raschke. Do you remember Baron von Raschke?
No. I remember Andre the Giant.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
We'll go over the starting lineup of the WWF All-Stars later.
It would take your,
dead or alive.
How about Leaping Lanny Poffo?
The Undertaker.
Yeah, that's later. That's later. Leaping Lanny Poffo from Downers Grove, the poet laureate of the WWF. Remember the Frisbees?
Yes.
And he would recite poetry?
Right.
Jimmy Superfly Snuka, Greg Gagne. You know what I'm talking about? British Bulldogs.
Steve Stone Cold Austin.
No, that's like in the last decade. I'm talking 80s.
80s. All right.
Come on. All right, we'll take your favorite 80s WWF wrestler while we talk about serious matters like confirmation hearings for cabinet secretaries. So why don't we start with what I'm getting to, the off-topic stump speeches made by Democrat senators where, again, part of the charge of going through a confirmation hearing as a nominee for a cabinet position is you just have to endure the political posturing of senators. And it happens at both parties, but it's Democrats that are up now. Oh, I don't know. You want to start with Pocahontas? You want to start with Kamala Ugandan giant? You want to start with just kind of standard issue Kristen Gillibrand from New York?
You know what? Let's start with Pocahontas.
All right, Pocahontas. This is Elizabeth Warren auditioning like Cory Booker did earlier in the week for a run in 2020 with Ben Carson. He is the secretary, the nominee to be secretary of the Department of Housing and Urban Development, which, of course, leads one to have a discussion about Donald Trump's blind trust, which is what Elizabeth Warren wanted to talk about.
She brought that up?
Listen to this.
My concern is whether or not among the billions of dollars that you will be responsible for handing out in grants and loans, can you just assure us that not $1 will go to benefit either the president-elect or his family?
Oh, my gosh.
It will not be my intention to do anything to benefit any American.
I understand that.
It's for all Americans,
But
everything that we do.
Do I take that to mean that you may manage programs that will significantly benefit the president-elect?
You can take it to mean that I will manage things in a way that benefits the American people. That is going to be the goal.
To the best you understand that.
If there happens to be an extraordinarily good program that's working for millions of people, and it turns out that someone that you're targeting is going to gain,
I like that, someone you're targeting.
$10 from it, am I going to say, no, the rest of you Americans can't have it? I think logic and common sense probably would be the best way.
Yeah, although we do have a problem here, and I appreciate your good faith in this, and I do, Dr. Carson.
Of course.
The problem is that you can't assure us that HUD money, not of $10 varieties, but of multi-million-dollar varieties, will not end up in the president-elect's pockets. And the reason you can't assure us of that is because the president-elect is hiding his family's business interests from you, from me, from the rest of America. And this just highlights the absurdity and the danger of the president-elect's refusal to put his assets in a true blind trust. He knows, the president-elect knows, what will benefit him and his family financially, but the public doesn't, which means he can divert taxpayer money into his own pockets without anyone knowing about it.
Mm-hmm. So
that's his whole plan, right?
That's the Elizabeth Warren.
Does she know he's not taking a salary as president?
Well, there's the argument that's being made about whether Trump is doing enough to separate himself from his business interests, and you can have that discussion. But what Elizabeth Warren is saying is just manifestly untrue. You won't know what's happening. I'm sorry, Senator Warren, I don't know if you know how the federal government works or should work, will work as, at least at HUD, with me as secretary, what Carson could have said. But all those public dollars that are expended, those grants that you're talking about, the rental assistance that you're talking about, that's all a matter of public record. So in point of fact, you will know. And every American will know where every red cent from HUD goes, and should know where every red cent from HUD goes. And it's easily discoverable. So all you have to do, if you have a question about some contractor we use or some grant that we offer, it will be detailed in our annual report. It will be detailed on an ongoing basis. We'll post it in real time in the digital age on our website. And if you have a question, if this is somehow linked back to the Trump family, why don't you go ahead and ask it? Because I'll do the same thing. Because I'm going to know who our contractors are. I'm going to know where money is being spent. And, if people are trying to use cutouts to defraud housing and urban development, just like every cabinet secretary should be doing the same thing with every agency. Oh, by the way, and members of Congress, preening senators like you, Pocahontas, may want to consider doing the same thing rather than just building bureaucracies like you did with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which hopefully will be unwound. If you want to get off topic, Pocahontas, and talk about the government writ large, that was a complete nonsense what Pocahontas was advancing about this, shadowy world.
Dip his hands into the cookie jar and take money from HUD.
Come on.
From people who need it. Need housing.
It's absurd.
Well, he handled himself very well, and he didn't play her, games.
He did, and you don't want to be too aggressive in response. You just want to get through this, 1 or 2 days worth of kabuki theater. And so I understand the restraint, but it's just so disingenuous. Or she's a moron.
Well,
she's either being insincere or she's a moron.
That she's a moron.
No.
And she's got to stop whining.
Now, the two are not mutually exclusive, to be fair. She could be both.
So she could be both. But then another, congressional or another Senate, Heidi Heitkamp, she focused, that, you're a neurosurgeon. What do you know about people in poverty? Does she not know where he was born and raised and what he endured as a child?
Heidi Heitkamp, meet Dr. Ben Carson.
Yeah. Here, what was it? The Gifted Hands? What's it? She could have at least watched the movie or read the book.
He should have passed out DVDs of the Gifted Hands.
What do you know about poverty?
Now that's not me. That's Cuba Gooding Jr. playing me, Senator Heitkamp. But so why don't you review that information? It's got pictures, so you'll understand it, and then we can come back and have the conversation. All right. So that's Carson over at HUD. Meanwhile, back at the ranch,
parallel action going on.
You have General Mattis, Secretary of Defense nominee, saying this in his opening statement about his two watchwords as SecDef.
If you confirm me, my watchwords will be solvency and security in providing for the protection of our people and the survival of our freedoms. My priorities as Secretary of Defense will be to strengthen military readiness, strengthen our alliances, and bring business reforms to the Department of Defense.
Which, of course, elicited this question from Kristen Gillibrand, the left-wing senator from New York, because this is all an opportunity to play identity politics, don't you know?
Do you believe that allowing LGBT Americans to serve in the military or women in combat is undermining our lethality?
Frankly, Senator, I've never cared much about two consenting adults and who they go to bed with.
So the answer is no?
Senator, my concern is on the readiness of the force to fight and to make certain that it's at the top of its game, so when we go up against an enemy, the criteria for everything we do in the military up until that point, our young men and women across the line of departure, is they will be at their most lethal stance. That's my obligation as I move into this job.
So
what a wonderful answer.
What's so nice about these confirmation hearings, particularly when you get the bigot baiting from the left, is you have the opportunity that we don't have enough for the juxtaposition of the left belief system with the kind of professional, competent, center-right belief structure as evinced by General Mattis in that exchange. He's talking about military readiness and the defense of our country. She's playing social
social games.
Social scientist. She wants to play, use the military as a social laboratory, as the left has for generations, and focus on counting by sexual orientation. That's the preeminent concern of the military. Just a really instructive exchange. All right, so one more here. We got to get to Kamala, the Uganda giant, newly minted Senator Kamala Harris, who replaced Barbara Boxer. I'm sorry, Senator Barbara Boxer, because I think she earned that title. Kamala Harris, this is the confirmation hearing of CIA Director Mike Pompeo. He is going to head up the CIA. And so, of course, that necessitates a conversation about climate change.
CIA Director Brennan, who spent a 25-year career at the CIA as an analyst, a senior manager, and station chief in the field, has said that when, quote, CIA analysts look for deeper causes of rising instability in the world, one of the causes those CIA analysts see as is the impact of climate change.
What?
Do you have any reason to doubt the assessment of these CIA analysts?
Senator Harris, I haven't had a chance to read those materials with respect to climate change. I do know the agency's role there. Its role is to collect foreign intelligence, to understand threats to the world. That would certainly include threats from poor governance, regional instability, threats from all sources, and deliver that information to policymakers. And to the extent that changes in climatic activity are part of that foreign intelligence collection task, we will deliver that information to you all and to the president.
That was round one. And
that was a great answer.
And here's round two.
I frankly, as the director of CIA, would prefer today not to get into the details of climate debate and science. It seems my role is going to be so different and unique from that. It is going to be to work alongside warriors keeping Americans safe. And so I stand by the things that I've said previously with respect to that issue.
Yeah, because she asked the question again. I didn't hear, an answer to my question, so she asked it again, and he answered it as you just heard.
He outlined the purpose of his agency, and if climate change happens to be a part of intelligence gathering, we will, of course, look into that.
You know what?
I mean, it was almost a lesson for her, what each department does.
Yeah, here's what the CIA does. Climate change, your climate change junk science is not really central to what we do. But it's kind of like the idea that Kamala Harris thinks climate change should be a priority for CIA. It reminds me of a local example, Paula Wolf, when she was elevated to be Pat Quinn's Secretary of Transportation here, Transportation Department Director here.
Yeah.
What's your main priority for the Illinois Department of Transportation? Go green. You understand the Department of Transportation, it's mainly traffics and concrete.
Yeah.
Go green. I mean, that's the lobotomized left philosophy and answer to everything, because it's just about segmenting to try and inflame, to maintain political power and dominion over others. So you have to manufacture these existential threats where they mainly don't exist. Oh, by the way, I mean, just Pompeo was smart not to get into it.
Yeah.
But just on the point of Kamala Harris and climate change and these agencies, all the talking points we hear the left recite over and over again for years on end, despite them being debunked. And we'll talk to Patrick Moore, co-founder of Greenpeace, at the bottom of the 8 o'clock hour on this. But former NASA scientist Dr. Roy Spencer, who now runs a satellite temperature data set at the University of Alabama, said it should be clear that the science of global warming is far from settled. Uncertainties in the adjustments to our global temperature data sets, the small amount of warming those data sets have measured compared to what climate models expect, and uncertainties over the possible role of Mother Nature in recent warming all combine to make climate change beliefs as much faith-based as science-based, wrote Dr. Roy Spencer, NASA scientist. I hate to, since she wanted to bring in NASA and all these agencies, well, let's have that conversation. By the way, since you want to bring in all those agencies, maybe you could tell us, Senator Harris, why it is that NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, why they refuse to release the data, the underlying data on which they are basing their models and thus predictions and thus policy recommendations. Isn't the point of peer review in an academic setting, the process of the scientific method, to allow for peer review and to prove up your results as repeatable for people to have any confidence in them? So let's talk about the science. For the left, and President Obama mentioned this in his farewell address, reason and science. I'll talk about science all day long. Let's go where the science leads. And we'll talk about with Patrick Moore at the bottom of the 8 o'clock hour. Jordan in Forest Park, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, going back to Ben Carson and Elizabeth Warren, I would like somebody to ask Senator Warren, how come you weren't so concerned with the conflicts of interest in the Clinton Foundation, or how about Hillary Clinton's brother-in-law and the deals in Haiti? Isn't it true, Senator Warren, that this is really about politics and it's really not about uncovering conflicts of interest?
Yeah, good point, Jordan. Thanks for the call. Mike in the North Side.
Good morning. Dan, I think you're just a little too cynical. Maybe the Democrats just want to know the truth. They just want to know the truth how Penny Pritzker's family bought presidential towers for 10 cents on the dollar and then sold it for $350 million profit, all while they were being investigated for a failed savings and loan scandal. They had a bank or a savings and loan in the western suburbs that failed and cost the taxpayers $150 million, and they only paid $1 million fine. Maybe that's what they were looking for.
Thanks, Mike.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Keep it straight. Hey, forecast for today. Mostly cloudy, cold still, a high of 26 degrees. Tonight, a passing flurry, a low of 21. And your weekend looks okay. Saturday, it's going to be mostly cloudy, a little bit warmer, a high of 32. And on Sunday, that's our best day of seeing a chance of that thing we call the sun up in the sky. Variable cloudiness, a high of 34. Let's get the travel times. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy. Conditions are nowhere near as slick as yesterday, but there is some icing in Chicago Ridge on Southwest Highway on the bridge near Ridgeland. The Eden's still okay. Kennedy inbound still Harlem to Austin. 23 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 30. Inbound Eisenhower, 32 minutes. Thorn Hill to downtown, outbound 29. Stevenson really jammed from the ride on Lakeshore Drive, 43 minutes, 3:55 to the drive. Outbound 34. Ryan, 28 minutes, 95th to downtown. On Tri-State Heavy 290. Other tollways are still good. 8094 has cleared up, so Northwest Indiana's fine. I'm Jim Talamonte in the AM 560 Traffic Center.
Hey, Craig and Leslie here from In the Know. Leslie, I like to think that we're always finishing the drive to the end zone and not just blocking and tackling for our clients. We want them to be ready for the big game, their retirement.
That's right, Craig. That's why our whole team at Wealth Management Group has their game face on and is ready for 2017.
Make a tactical maneuver to make Wealth Management Group part of your financial force.
When you pick your financial team, pick Wealth Management Group as your offensive line and listen to In the Know Sunday mornings at 10 right here on AM 560, The Answer.
A good enough dinner isn't good or enough.
So plan for great with Plated. Only at Plated.com can you choose from delicious weekly recipes, plus dessert. All the shopping and measuring is done for you and delivered right to your door. Fun step-by-step recipes will have the whole family chopping and stirring. If you go to Plated.com now, you'll get $30 off your first Plated night. Pretty great, right? Plated nights will definitely be your greatest nights. For terms and details, go to Plated.com.
Hi, Amy Jacobson here. You know, the best home improvement decision I ever made was to call CertaPro Painters. No joke. Last spring, their trained, talented painters magically reformed my porch. Property values actually went up. But now that winter is set in, let's get your interior painting done, and CertaPro Painters are the only ones to call. You know, CertaPro Painters is celebrating its 25th anniversary this year, and we invite you to experience the CertaPro difference. When they come into your home, they are so quiet they won't wake a baby. And guess what? The best part is they clean up after themselves. So with this new year, you should refresh and renew your living space. Book your interior painting project today. For a free estimate, call our good friends over there at CertaPro at 1-800-GO-CERTA. That's CERTA with a C. Or visit CertaPro.com. And we invite you to experience the CertaPro difference. I'm glad I called them. Each CertaPro Painter's business is independently owned and operated. CertaPro Painters, we do painting, you do life.
A great night's sleep is so important to your health. And it's no fun sleeping on a flat pillow, flip-flopping during the night, or waking up feeling unrested. The solution? Order a MyPillow today. MyPillow has a patented interlocking fill that adjusts to your individual sleep needs. It's washable, dryable, manufactured in America, and guaranteed not to go flat for 10 years. And right now is a great time to buy. If you buy one MyPillow, you'll receive another MyPillow plus 2 Go Anywhere pillows for no additional charge. Plus, the MyPillow money-back guarantee if you're not satisfied. Visit MyPillow.com. Click the Radio Listener Special tab and use the promo code AMY. You'll get 2 premium MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows for one low price. Or call 800-489-0201. And be sure to mention the Radio Listener Special and the promo code AMY. That's MyPillow.com or 800-489-0201, promo code AMY.
AM 560, The Answer.
What song is this?
Dan and Amy, I'm a Real American. Dan and Amy, so we were just talking about the intellectually impaired, like Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas, Kamala the Uganda Giant, Kristen Gillibrand. Haven't come up with a nickname for her yet. I'm working on it.
No.
Now let's talk about people who suffer because of playing sports. Bo Jackson. Bo knows football. Bo knows baseball.
Bo knows baseball.
I remember that Bo knows.
Yep.
That was great. That was Nike commercial. I love Bo Jackson.
I know. You love him so much.
Bo Jackson, I think he still lives in Burr Ridge.
Yeah, he does.
And he used to go to my grandparents' church. He went to St. John of the Cross in Western Springs.
Really?
Yeah.
So you really know Bo?
Well, I mean,
Bo knows church.
Bo knows church. Bo knows Christianity.
Good for him. Oh, don't tell me he's got a concussion.
No, but it's interesting. He said, but what Bo didn't know was about CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy.
Did you watch the movie Concussion yet? That I got you for Christmas?
It's in the queue.
Oh my gosh!
I will get to it. It's in the queue.
Oh,
I've got to be of a certain mind myself to endure Will Smith.
Where are our Christmas gifts? Bonus check for the guys.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You forgot to do that this year?
Oh,
it's not too late.
Is that am I?
Yeah.
Really? I'm going to have to review the 4 corners of my contract to see if I'm required.
It's just kind of an unwritten rule.
Yeah. I like written rules.
You tip out the crew. I do that.
Yeah, do you?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But I didn't give as much because I thought you were going to give.
Oh, so I need to subsidize.
Yeah.
Okay. All
and
right.
then Jeff Reisman, where's a Dan Proft's Target gift card?
Oh, boy. Yeah. Showcase showdown for us.
This is kind of inside baseball right now.
You think? Yeah, anything else you want to prosecute here? In my pockets. Not bad enough I got to deal with the city of Chicago. Back to Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson saying that had he said, I'm quoting his interview with USA Today Sports, if I knew back then what I know now, I would have never played football. Never. I mean, he's like the Jim Thorpe of our era. I wish I had known about all of those head injuries, but no one knew that. And the people that did know that, they wouldn't tell anybody. The game has gotten so violent, so rough. We're so much more educated on the CTE stuff. There's no way I would ever allow my kids to play football today. Even though I love the sport, I'd smack them in the mouth.
That's a little graphic.
And if he did that, they would then suffer from CTE. So it was kind of no, but I'd smack them in the mouth if they ever said they wanted to play football. He's sort of course saying that, metaphorically. I'd tell them play baseball, which Bo knows. Play basketball, which Bo knows. Play soccer, which Bo knows. Play golf, which Bo knows. Just about anything but football. Where are you with Peyton and Eli? And playing a contact sport like football or fencing?
They don't want to play football because of all the talk of concussions. And my oldest son only has one kidney, so he never, even though I got him a flap jacket, he still doesn't want to play football.
Mm-hmm.
But they play soccer, and there's just as many concussions in soccer as there are in football, believe it or not.
Yeah,
Russell's had 2 concussions already, and he's only 11.
That's at the
scary.
kind of kid level. And into high school, too,
Yeah.
young adults.
And they don't wear helmets in soccer, so when you hit the ground, it kind of leaves a mark.
Or, you run into each other. I mean, yeah, there's no question. But football is different, and I wonder where this is going. I was skeptical for a long time, John Cass and other soccerophiles. We'll just dismiss that for a second. But their prediction, football is going away. I just have a hard time believing, these stadiums that we see on Saturdays across the fruited plains with 100,000 people in Columbus and 100,000 people in Ann Arbor, they're just going to empty out of those stadiums, or kids that could get a scholarship to play and the money that it generates for colleges. And then, of course, talking about the NFL, $10 billion a year business, that it's just going to go away overnight. It may not happen overnight, but if you do have talented young athletes choosing not to play football, like perhaps Bo Jackson's kids, there is a long-term trend away from that game. And I wonder if it, you can't, with even the new rules of you can't lead with the helmet and all, and we think about this on the cusp of, another playoff weekend here this weekend. But with all the new rules, I think it's more and more parents, and especially parents who played the game, the iconic athletes, the Troy Aikmans and the Bo Jacksons, saying, I wouldn't let my kids play football. I wonder what the long-term prognosis is for college and professional football.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I had gout in both my knees, and it's gone.
Well, I'm pretty stupid. I should have ordered it 15 years ago. It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life.
He had eczema on his hand, and it cracked for years. He did anything from doctor, every cream, everything. And 3 months on the veggies and fruit, it was gone.
They're just awesome. They keep asking me, what am I doing? I told them what I did with my cholesterol. I had the blood test, right? And it went down 100 points. 262, now it's 162. Everything is just perfect.
Balance of Nature is celebrating its 20th anniversary by providing you the best offer they've ever given. 2 free months of fruits and veggies and free shipping. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Should imminent Attorney General Jeff Sessions ask for the resignation of Jim Comey at 6:36?
And later, it's federally official. People in Indiana will now be called Hoosiers. But first, let's go into the newsroom.
As opposed to Indianans,
Yes.
which you term them.
Yes, here's Mike Scott.
16 degrees, cloudy skies this morning. City officials will hear from the Justice Department this morning that the Chicago Police Department routinely violated the constitutional rights of some citizens. The DOJ's Civil Rights Division has been rushing to complete its investigation of what the current Washington administration says is problems with use of force policies or the way police misconduct allegations are handled. Mayor Rahm Emanuel says the city will use the results revealed this morning as a way to continue reform in the city.
My general approach will be to build off of what we've done over the last year and to continue to make the reforms and changes that are necessary because they're in our self-interest.
People in the Southern Plains bracing for a massive winter storm, heavy rain, and heavy ice in Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri.
I declared a state of emergency and called up the Missouri National Guard
in preparation for the effects of Winter Storm Jupiter.
Missouri's governor says the weather will make travel in the region difficult, dangerous, and in some places impossible. House considers a repeal of the Affordable Care Act today. The Senate narrowly approved the measure yesterday. President Obama has ended a policy that allowed most Cuban immigrants who reached the U.S. to stay and become permanent residents. The move comes as the U.S. works to normalize relations with Cuba. An Arizona state trooper is recovering from a gunshot wound, being ambushed by a gunman responding to a fatal accident. He was rescued by a passerby who shot the attacker and then used the trooper's radio to call for help. Some city employees are getting an unpleasant surprise at the beginning of this new year here in Chicago when doctors or pharmacists tell them their insurance has expired. The city claims it's only a technical error, which will be corrected soon. Former Chicago high school teacher received probation after pleading guilty to sexually abusing a 15-year-old boy. Benjamin Zolo pleaded guilty to aggravated criminal sexual abuse charges. He taught at Lincoln Park High School. Chicago sports. Knicks over the Bulls, 104-89. The news service of LifeLock. Grabbing coffee or breakfast. If you swipe your card, you leave a trail of digital information that thieves can use to steal your identity. Ever hear of LifeLock? Their U.S.-based team of specialists help resolve identity theft problems. Go to lifelock.com now. Use promo code RISK to save 10%. 6:35 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, a family tradition since 1897.
Dennis Prager believes the left needs to get out of its own bubble.
Far more dangerous than people who lie knowing they're lying are people who lie not knowing they're lying. The left lives in its own echo chamber. They only read, study under, live with, talk to people they agree with. It's like this tsunami of hysteria.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Michael Medved, and for well over a year, you've heard me talking about Relief Factor, the natural solution for people struggling with chronic pain like back, neck, shoulder, hip, knee, or general muscle aches and pains. Thousands of listeners have told us all about their amazing results in dramatically lowering or eliminating their pain. So I'm sending my personal friends and radio listeners to ReliefFactor.com to order the 3-week quick start for only $19.95. That's ReliefFactor.com.
Highland Park Ford Lincoln's in the house. Here's Alan Marty.
For 30 years, we've been making people happy with incredible deals and service.
We're the best Ford Lincoln dealers in town.
Because making people happy makes us happy.
No doubt. This is one happy place.
Heck, we just break into dance all the time.
We don't break into dance at the dealership.
Sure we do.
No, we really don't.
We could. Come on, Marty, dance with me.
The Highland Park Ford Lincoln Superstore. Call 1-800-984-9000 or go to alanmarty.com.
Admit it.
Okay, you're a lovely dancer.
Thank you. This is Alan Marty. Deal with us.
Are you worried how the election, global events, and the current economy might affect your retirement? Listen to Grow My Retirement, Saturdays at 2 with Bill Geiger, Chicago's retirement planning advisor. Bill helps you translate complex retirement issues into easy-to-understand steps to help you create a retirement income you can't outlive.
The important thing of this show is not when the next downturn is coming, but to have your portfolio and your retirement plan ready for it.
Grow My Retirement with Bill Geiger, Saturday at 2 p.m. on AM 560. The Answer.
Illinois deserves an honest analysis of the problems facing our state. Avoid the spin from the mainstream media and Springfield insiders by tuning in to Illinois Rising every Sunday at 3 p.m. AM 560's Dan Proft and the Illinois Policy Institute tackle the policy and political issues that matter most and discuss possible solutions. So if you're sick of the status quo, then be sure to listen to Illinois Rising this Sunday at 3 p.m. on AM 560. The Answer.
6:38. Let's get an update on the roads in our AM 560 traffic center with Jim Talamonte.
Like the inbound Eden's, just a little heavy approaching the junction. 20 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 19. The Kennedy, 30 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 30 as well. The Eisenhower, 38 minutes, Thorndale to the post office, outbound 35. Stevenson, 44 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound good. The Ryan, 35 minutes, 95th to downtown, heavier in the Express. Overnight work was late in clearing. South Shoreline service back to normal today after yesterday's icing problems. And traffic is a service of Burger King's breakfast. What's the best place to have your breakfast? How about on a warm croissant? Right now at Burger King, get 2 croissant breakfast sandwiches for just $4. A light, flaky croissant piled high with savory sausage or delicious, thick-cut smoked bacon. 2 croissant for $4, only at Burger King. Price and participation vary. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. For your downtown viewing pleasure at the Cubs convention, cloudy and cold, high 26. Cloudy with a passing flurry overnight, low 21. Cloudy and warmer tomorrow, high 32. Right now, 17 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 7. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Ayn Rand Institute and the Yaron Brook Show. Heard Saturday afternoons at 4 here on AM 560, The Answer.
Your money. Find out how to keep more of it and live debt-free. Tonight on The Dave Ramsey Show, starting at 7 on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. The question, I got a couple questions here. We got some loose ends to tie up from 2016 in terms of principal newsmakers, Jim Comey being one of them, Julian Assange being another. Start with Comey. Should Jim Comey resign, or more to the point, should Jeff Sessions, upon confirmation as United States Attorney General, ask for Jim Comey's resignation if he's disinclined to step down of his own volition? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Wall Street Journal op-ed yesterday. It's no secret the United States is a house divided in 17, and that Americans of different political persuasions agree on little when it comes to Washington, but there's at least one exception to this state of affairs, and his name is Jim Comey, criticized intermittently by both sides. And the suggestion is an obvious one that Jim Comey's performance during the 2016 election cycle with respect to the Hillary Clinton email investigation was so uneven, erratic even, that he has lost the confidence of the American public. And there's varying reports in terms of whether he's lost the confidence of rank-and-file FBI agents. And there were various reports on that during the campaign that seemed to be in conflict with one another. But in terms of the public perception, may be even more important than the internal belief, because you want and need to have faith in the leadership of such an important law enforcement agency as the FBI. So should Comey step down? Should he be asked for his resignation?
So the Department of Justice is investigating him over the Clinton probe because, of course, those on the left say because of his actions, it cost Hillary Clinton to campaign. And he says he welcomes that investigation,
right,
and that he'll be cooperative.
The Inspector General in Department of Justice is looking at how he handled that investigation, and that is correct.
But do you think that he cost Hillary Clinton the election? Or Hillary Clinton cost Hillary Clinton the election?
Well, Hillary Clinton ultimately cost Hillary Clinton the election. I mean,
he didn't bring up her private server. She created her own private server.
No question. And I hope Rex Tillerson volunteers in his confirmation hearing. I guess he missed the opportunity, but it would have been great had he volunteered. Look, I'm not going to hire Platte River Networks. I'm not going to keep a private email server in a closet in Colorado. I'm not going to have private email. So I just want to have everybody rest assured that the model of the previous Secretary of State, or once removed before John Kerry, will not be followed by one Rexon. But so that's right about Comey. But the question is still on the floor: should he resign or be asked for his resignation?
I don't know. I mean, they're looking into decisions not to prosecute. They're not looking into decisions of whether or not to prosecute Miss Clinton, but they'll review his actions that he took that Miss Clinton and many of her supporters believe cost her the election. I mean, during that July announcement when he said, he's not indicting Miss Clinton, but he described her behavior as extremely careless. And just his behavior has been bizarre, because really it's up to the Attorney General and the Justice Department on whether or not charges would have been filed.
Yes, he knows that, but he was explaining the basis for his recommendation. So, look, here's the bottom line. So I'll answer my own question then. Jim Comey should resign, or he should be asked for his resignation, because on the right, conservatives have lost as much faith in him as the left has. Why? First and foremost, Hillary Clinton should have been prosecuted.
Yeah.
Forget what he said 10 days before the election. It should have never gotten there. He should, and when I say this, he should have recommended charges be brought, recommended to Loretta Lynch that Hillary Clinton be charged. That's where the evidence led. His performance before congressional committees, particularly exchanges with Trey Gowdy, this whole intent component that he invented in terms of legal criminal culpability, unacceptable. He should be gone. He should be gone. By the way, a related note on Comey, he apparently, according to NBC News, and can you believe NBC News these days?
I can't believe anybody.
But he was the one who told Trump about the dossier. This on last Friday. This was after the intel briefing. Comey pulled Trump aside and spoke with him one-on-one about the so-called dossier. So, according to NBC News, Trump was not told about the contents of the dossier during the formal briefing. He was pulled aside in a one-on-one by Jim Comey and told about the dossier at that point.
All right. And CNN says not only did Comey have a one-on-one with Trump, but according to CNN, they say that Comey gave Trump the 2-page synopsis.
Yeah, okay.
Which I don't believe them. But also Joe Biden said that he read the entire 36-page report and that Obama was briefed on it as well. But Biden came out yesterday after he received that award, the participation trophy, came out and told reporters that he read the whole 36 pages.
Yeah, and I mean his was tear-stained because of the knowledge that he would be receiving the Presidential Medal of Freedom for being a good guy, for being an Obama lackey, which is the standard, apparently, in this administration. A related story, Julian Assange made an interesting extradition offer to the United States. Julian Assange, WikiLeaks founder, who we seek to prosecute under the Espionage Act, criminally prosecute, said if President Obama grants Bradley/Chelsea Manning clemency, Assange will agree to U.S. extradition.
Oh.
He is living in asylum at the Ecuadorian embassy in London and has been for the past more than 4 years.
Hanging out in the basement.
What about that deal? I mean, here's a president who loves to do prisoner exchanges.
Oh, yeah. How'd that prison swap work out with Bo Bergdahl?
Yeah, maybe we could throw in some terrorists. We could release some terrorists as well to get Julian Assange back here. Julian Assange, I mean, it's just worth noting, not a guy wearing a white hat. He's not some hero. So, no, it's important just to remind people, conservatives, generally speaking, not endorsing Julian Assange as an individual or his conduct specifically with respect to the Podesta emails that were central to the last half of the 2016 campaign. But this offer is very interesting, and the idea of a clemency for Bradley, don't call me Chelsea, don't call me Bradley Manning. I don't know. I mean, at minimum, if he were to be granted clemency, I'd want a taxpayer refund on us paying for his gender
reassignment.
bender.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? You willing to strike that deal, President-elect Jacobson?
I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. It is an interesting deal. It is an interesting offer.
The answer is no.
No, we can't do it. And Julian Assange isn't a terrorist, but we can't negotiate that kind of deal.
And since we're talking,
give him too much power.
And since we're talking about the absurd, and we were talking about politics, how about this? The Washingtonian reporting on a restaurant in the D.C. area that has created a Golden Showers burger.
Okay.
That's appetizing, isn't it?
Is the theme of the restaurant R. Kelly?
No. It's just Trump-related. Golden
Okay.
Showers Burger, in collaboration with the Community Diner in Bethesda, Maryland, to have fun with the quote-unquote scandal. Not much of a scandal since it's been roundly debunked and rejected. The money raised from the sale of the $20 Golden Showers Burger, $5 of that will be donated to Planned Parenthood. What a country.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
My friend's in the Nasty Woman art exhibit this weekend in Queens, New York, and proceeds from that are going to Planned Parenthood as well because they're all afraid of being defunded by the government.
Good.
Yes, good
And
stuff.
they better be.
Forecast for today, mostly cloudy, cold, a high of 26 degrees. Then tonight, a passing flurry late, and then Saturday and Sunday, variable cloudiness, a little bit warmer, a high in the low to mid 30s. Let's get those travel times. Any high travel times? Here's Jim Telemonte.
So far, not too bad, Amy. Certainly a lot better than yesterday. The Edens has inbound delays starting at Niles Center. 25 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose. Outbound 20. The Kennedy, 31 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, 14 from Montrose, 13 on the Express. Outbound 28 to the airport. The delays are from Montrose to Sayre. The Eisenhower, 38 minutes. Thorndale to the Loop. Outbound 35. Stevenson, 45 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound okay. The ride is heavy at 35 minutes. 95th to downtown after overnight work cleared late. Southbound Lakeshore Drive, heavy 18th to Stevenson. Northbound Tri-State slow. The Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Veterans Memorial, heavy 63rd to the Reagan Tollway. I'm Jim Talamonte in the AM 560 Traffic Center.
I'm Lou Dobbs. Amazon hiring 100,000 new staffers. Casino owners beat the odds in 2016, and big years ahead in commercial banking. Those stories next.
Bill Bennett here to tell you about Augusta Precious Metals. Attention investors, your IRA or your 401k may be at risk again. The 2008 crash wiped out up to 50% of IRAs and 401ks. Can you afford to lose again? What if you could store IRA or 401k savings where you can see, touch, and hold it in your hands? With the Augusta Gold or Silver IRA, you transfer a portion of retirement savings into physical coins you can actually see and get fast in case of any disaster. Call Augusta Precious Metals today for a free gold and silver IRA guide. No obligation. Augusta Precious Metals, A-plus Better Business Bureau rating, 98% 5-star customer satisfaction rating with TrustLink.org. Trust Augusta. Call Augusta Precious Metals today at 1-855-222-6993. That's 1-855-222-6993. One more time, 1-855-222-6993.
Online giant Amazon says it plans to hire 100,000 full-time workers over the next year and a half, all part of an ambitious expansion plan, and it comes as Amazon's brick-and-mortar counterparts are reorganizing and even going out of business. Nevada casino owners turned a profit last year for the first time since 2008, and Atlantic City, even with labor disputes and the closing of the Trump Taj Mahal, saw nearly 2% increase over the previous year. End-of-week economic reports we'll be watching for include the Producer Price Index, updates on retail sales and business inventories. An industry group predicting commercial banking revenue will grow almost 4% a year through 2020. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Hey, want to get away to somewhere warm with Joe Walsh, Dan Proft, and myself? Well, we are heading to Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic. That's where we're heading this year, and we're staying at the beautiful, brand-new Secrets Cap Cana Resort and Spa. Opened 2 months ago. It has all the bells and whistles, 5 gourmet restaurants, gorgeous, well-appointed rooms, 24-hour room service, sparkling pools, and access to pristine beaches where there's beach volleyball. So if you came last year or years before, come and join us in Punta Cana. Get more information and book your trip by visiting 560theanswer.com, keyword passport. That's 560theanswer.com, keyword passport.
Hugh Hewitt for ReaganPrivacy.com. Yahoo recently admitted to scanning hundreds of millions of email accounts for the U.S. government. Could they be the only big tech company that did this? What about Gmail, AOL, MSN, Hotmail? Having a free email address isn't really free if your privacy is compromised. So listen to this. These so-called free email services make these companies billions of dollars. They scan your emails. They target you with unwanted advertising. And they charge advertisers big bucks. It's time to escape the free email scam. Take control of your privacy by getting a Reagan email address at ReaganPrivacy.com. ReaganPrivacy.com won't scan your emails. They won't share your personal information or emails with government agencies. ReaganPrivacy.com leaves you alone. They believe in freedom and in personal privacy, just like Ronald Reagan did. Get your private Reagan email address today at ReaganPrivacy.com. Prices start at just $33 a year, and right now you get 2 free bonus months. For as little as 9 cents a day, you can take back your privacy at ReaganPrivacy.com. That's ReaganPrivacy.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy with all of the caterwauling from Hollywood since Trump's election. This was kind of interesting. Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, she lives in Nashville. I think she's...
Your favorite Nicole Kidman flick?
She's in that new one, Lion, that I want to see.
I thought you were going to say Moulin Rouge.
No,
I could see
I'm
you
not.
liking her in that.
She was good. Everybody was good in that film.
Oh,
Who's not
sure.
to love in that film?
Oh,
very
no.
talented lady. Very flexible.
I
ladies.
was enthralled by Ewan McGregor, as I always am.
What's your favorite Nicole Kidman
Days of
movie?
Thunder, Cold
Mountain. She was great in Cold Mountain. I love that movie.
Well, anyway, she sat down with the interview, and she was asked about Donald Trump.
Mhm.
And listen to
She lives in Nashville.
the un-Hollywood restraint from a Nicole Kidman.
You have joint US-Australian citizenship, and you voted in the US elections last month. What do you think of President-elect Trump?
I mean, I'm always reticent to start sort of commenting politically. I've never done it in terms of America or Australia. I'm issue-based. I comment on the things that I'm... So I just say he's now elected, and we as a country need to support who's ever the president, because that's what the country's based on. And however that happened, he's there, and let's go.
He's there, and let's go. Wow, restraint from Nicole Kidman.
That means she voted for Trump.
No, I don't. I wouldn't go that far. But in a related story, Meryl Streep has kicked Nicole Kidman out of Hollywood.
Hi, my name is Ray McElroy, former Chicago Bears player and chaplain, and founder and CEO of the nonprofit Array of Hope on Earth. You know, running a successful nonprofit organization that serves at-risk, underserved youth in the inner city of Chicago presents its own set of challenges. I am so relieved that as a small, newer organization, we don't have to count our payroll and HR responsibilities as one of them because of the amazing service we receive from Precision Payroll of America. Not only do I appreciate the professional quality of Precision Payroll of America, but I also love that their values of faith, family, and fair and comprehensive service align perfectly with our own.
Thank you, Ray. For our great services, call me at 630-242-1507 or on the web at precisionpayroll.com. To support a great cause, check out arrayofhopeonearth.org.
Tom, you're the best, bro.
No, man, you're the best.
No, you're the best.
Oh, you the man.
No, for real, though, you the man.
What are all the things you witness online in a day? Cats playing piano, selfies on your feed, your friend's picture being turned into a nasty meme that's been shared 50 times, 51, 52. When someone's being bullied online, it's hard to know what to do. Now you can speak up with the witness emoji. It looks like an eye in a speech bubble, and it's in the symbol section near the clocks in your phone. You'll let the world know it isn't cool, and you'll let your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Geico presents a voicemail from your friend, Tree.
Tree here. Just calling to say thanks for letting me crash at your place the other night. Well, on your place. It was a rough night. I had a bit too much wind, and I think I might have broke your chimney, actually. So, yeah. Any chance you'd want to drop off my tire swing? Yeah. I mean, if not, that's cool. Okay, later.
Trees won't pay for tree damage. Luckily, one call to the Geico Insurance Agency makes it easy to switch and save on homeowners insurance.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
Did you know 40% of all cancer could be prevented? That's a fact. Along with maintaining appropriate body weight and regular exercise, the American Institute for Cancer Research and the USDA confirm that eating 9 to 11 servings of fruits and vegetables every day is the key. Now ask yourself, am I at risk? How many servings of fruits and vegetables did I eat today? Balance of Nature has solved this problem and provides an easy and affordable way to consume over 10 servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables every day.
Here's microbiologist Dr. Kim O'Neill talking about balance of nature.
Scientific research has shown that many cancers and lifestyle diseases can be prevented with a diet rich in fruits and vegetables. This prevention comes from the phytochemicals in the plants. They fight against oxidants that damage the cell's DNA, causing mutations that lead to disease. I don't take any supplementation, but I take Balance of Nature because I know, I've seen it in my lab, and I know that it works. I've seen the immune response increase, I've seen your DNA repair capacity increase, and I've seen DNA protection. And that, to me, as a scientist, rings so true.
I'm a big supporter of the product. 2 winters ago, I had, between November and March, I had 5 head colds, and each time it was like a 2-week ordeal. Last winter, with your product, I didn't have a single one.
Balance of Nature is celebrating its 20th anniversary by providing you the best offer they've ever given. 2 free months of fruits and veggies and free shipping. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life, but I should have ordered it like 15 years ago.
16 degrees in Chicago. Here are the stories we're watching right now. The DOJ to reveal findings of the Chicago police probe today. WIND Chicago News Time, 7 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Chris Foster. The former British spy reported to have written about Russian blackmail information on President-elect Trump once helped the FBI build a case against corrupt soccer officials, according to the Washington Post. That spy, Christopher Steele's now in hiding. The president-elect most definitely is not. Here's Fox's Tanya J. Powers.
Oh, Chris, President-elect Trump back on Twitter early this morning, sending out 7 tweets in less than an hour. 3 of them addressed the recent incriminating dossier and what Mr. Trump calls, quote, phony allegations against him. He claims they were the work of, quote, a failed spy afraid of being sued and his sleazebag political operatives, unquote. The president-elect called the report from intelligence officials fake news and added Russia says nothing exists, Chris.
He also tweeted the Unaffordable Care Act will soon be history. A step toward repealing Obamacare gets a vote in the House today. Fox's Rachel Sutherland's live in D.C.
Chris, the GOP-led House will vote on a measure giving Republicans the power to stop Democrats from filibustering, speeding up that process or taking apart the Affordable Care Act. House Speaker Paul Ryan addressed concerns about disagreement among Republicans over how Obamacare should be repealed and replaced.
We're completely in sync, planning on a daily basis with the administration for how to roll all of this out, and that's what we're doing.
The Senate passed the legislation earlier this week over passionate opposition from Democrats. Senator Rand Paul was the only Republican to vote no over concerns about not having a replacement plan in place right now. Chris?
Rachel Sutherland, thanks. There's a major ice storm in the forecast for parts of the plains and the Midwest with more than an inch of ice possible on some roads, trees, and power lines. Greg Horn with the Missouri Department of Transportation says get that shopping done now.
The roads are going to be slick. We're not going to say the roads are going to be perfect, but we're doing everything that we can to fight the storm.
There's a spacewalk going on now to install new, better batteries outside the International Space Station. You're listening to Fox News Radio. Fair and balanced.
In Chicago, 16 degrees. Some clouds this morning and winds out of the north at 7. Good morning, I'm Mike Scott. On AM 560, The Answer, city officials will hear from the Justice Department this morning that the city police department routinely violated the constitutional rights of some Chicago citizens. The DOJ's Civil Rights Division has been hurrying to complete its investigation during the current Washington administration and is expected to hand in its report today. Mayor Rahm Emanuel out in front of that report last night, saying the city will use the results revealed today as a way to continue police reform.
My general approach will be to build off of what we've done over the last year and to continue to make the reforms and changes that are necessary because they're in our self-interest.
Mayor Emanuel's chief financial officer spent yesterday trying to calm bond rating agencies and investors after Governor Rauner indicated he plans to veto a bill intended to prop up the city's 2 failing pension funds. Rauner's declaration came just as the city is preparing to sell more than $1 billion in general obligation bonds. Some city employees getting an unpleasant surprise. Since the beginning of this year, doctors and pharmacists have been telling them their insurance has expired. City claims it's simply a technical error that will be corrected soon, but in the meantime, Police, firefighters, other employees are being forced to pay the full cost of prescriptions out of pocket. An athletic director and 2 football coaches are stepping down following a hazing scandal in Lake Zurich. Lake Zurich High School athletic director Rolando Vasquez, a head coach David Profit, and an assistant have all submitted their resignations. NBA last night, Knicks over the Bulls, 104-89. College baskets in the Big Ten, Northwestern over Rutgers, 69-60. The news service of LifeLock, grabbing coffee or breakfast. If you swipe that card, you may leave a trail of digital information that thieves can use to steal your identity. Ever hear of LifeLock? Their U.S.-based team of specialists help resolve identity theft problems. Go to LifeLock.com now. Use promo code RISK to save 10%. 7:04, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Sean Hannity warns of more cyber attacks.
It's ridiculous that we're this far along. 10 years of hacking has taken place, and they haven't done a damn thing.
That ought to anger everybody.
Well, Hannity, you interviewed Julian Assange. He releases hacked information. He's telling us it's wide open. If we'd learned from it, he wouldn't have anything left to print. It's not his fault they're so stupid.
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-348-2121. That's 1-800-348-2121. 1-800-348-2121. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop, you save. Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price can vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
7:05, a check of the roads in our AM 560 traffic center with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. On the Edens Expressway, the inbound delay started Cicero. It's 23 minutes either way between Lake Cook and Montrose. Inbound Kennedy, 33 minutes O'Hare to downtown, 16 from Montrose, 13 on the Express. Outbound 11 minutes to Montrose and 30 to the airport. The Eisenhower's 38 minutes, Thorndale to downtown. Outbound 35. Stevenson, 46 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 34. Rhine's heavy, 35 minutes, 95 to downtown. Southbound Lakeshore Drive, heavy 18th to the Stevenson. Northbound Tri-State stop and go from the Reagan Tollway to the Eisenhower. Reagan Tollway a little heavy from the Aurora Toll to Farnsworth. Veterans Memorial, so 63rd to the Reagan Tollway. Northwest Indiana looks great, and South Shoreline trains are back on schedule. Traffic answers when you need them most. Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the AirComfort.com Weather Center, here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Mostly cloudy skies through tomorrow. High today 26. Passing flurries later tonight with a low 21. Then it will be warmer tomorrow with a high 32. A mix of clouds for Sunday with sleet and freezing rain late at night. High 34. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560. The Answer.
Currently 17 at O'Hare. It is 20 along the lakefront. Your next news update is at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Financial Planning with Jack Taboda, your 401k rollover specialist. Heard Saturday mornings at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning. Welcome to your Friday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
So, Joe, for the final time as president, I am pleased to award our nation's highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
If you confirm me, my watchwords will be solvency and security in providing for the protection of our people and the survival of our freedoms.
It will not be my intention to do anything to benefit any American.
I understand that.
It's for all Americans, but everything that we do.
Look, I don't want to impute a general conspiracy here, but it looks as if the Democrats, on their way out the door, are trying to leave behind as many landmines as they can.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So the fallout from this dossier continues, both on the journalistic side in terms of the dubious ethics practiced by both BuzzFeed and I would say CNN as well, in addition to kind of the underlying dynamic between President-elect Trump and the intelligence community. Glenn Greenwald was on with Tucker Carlson last night, following up on a piece that he wrote, a very good piece about the deep state that he wrote for The Intercept. And listen to what Greenwald's assessment is of where the intelligence community, or at least pertinent parts of it, are vis-a-vis the incoming president.
I think it's warranted. I mean, you see Democrats at this point, even liberals, more or less openly calling for and cheering for the intervention of the CIA, the intelligence community, the overall deep state, hoping that because they failed to do so, that this unelected faction in Washington will undermine and subvert and destroy the legitimacy of Donald Trump's presidency before he's even inaugurated. And I think what you're seeing is actually quite dangerous. There really is, at this point, obvious open warfare between this unelected but very powerful faction that resides in Washington and sees presidents come and go on the one hand, and the person that the American democracy elected to be the president on the other, who's supposed to be its chief executive. And there's clearly extreme conflict and a lot of subversion taking place.
Well, if Glenn Greenwald's right, that presents a real problem, and it's a perfect segue for our friend Bret Baier, host of Fox News Special Report, Monday to Friday, 5 p.m. Chicago time, because his new book, entitled 3 Days in January, is about President Dwight David Eisenhower and the meaning of his famous words, the military-industrial complex, which is what Glenn Greenwald is referring to in large measure. Bret, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning.
Morning. So how about that charge that Greenwald made about the military-industrial complex, his definition of it, and that he believes there is some level of open warfare between factions of the intelligence community and the incoming administration?
I mean, I think that's partly true from what we've seen. And, I don't know if it's as open and as clear-cut as Glenn describes in subterfuge, but I do believe that there are large segments of the intel community who have a real problem with Donald Trump and have really want to get into this connection and how deep it is between Russia and Trump. And the leaks that you're seeing, I mean, there are a couple of valves. David Ignatius, if you see something written by him, oftentimes it comes from the 7th floor at the CIA.
Huh.
And I think, and there are a couple of others who, when their writings come out and they cite sources, that's not just anybody. That is inside the top levels of the intel community.
So then DNI Clapper's statement this week about the corrosive nature of such leaks doesn't mean a lot if they can't be plugged.
Right. And, I mean, I think it's a real issue. And, listen, this is from somebody who fights for access and tries to break stories and talks to sources. But there is stuff that can happen here that can undermine and take the legs out from under an incoming president. I think it has turned, the corner has turned, and I think barring some other evidence that comes out, that this will move forward.
So, Bret Baier, did you read the 36-page dossier? Did you receive a copy, or did Fox Newsroom get one?
Yes, and we should point out that this had been circled around in the summer, and we asked questions about it, tried to see what our intel sources were saying, and nobody could say anything about it being backed up or it being legitimate. It wasn't an intelligence report, so it was largely dismissed.
Well, I'm sorry, but on that score, I mean, so this is part of the debate, the damage control that CNN was doing in the last 24 to 48 hours, where Jake Tapper and Anderson Cooper are rushing to distinguish what CNN did with their reporting from what BuzzFeed did. The main distinction being, well, we didn't post the 35-page dossier. We just reported a story about it. There's a distinction there, but in terms of clearing the journalistic ethical hurdle, if you're not verifying the underlying veracity of the documents you're reporting about in general terms, aren't you co-enabling the distribution of unverified information? And isn't that a breach of journalistic ethics?
Yeah, I want to be careful here. I think CNN is different than BuzzFeed as far as what they did. I understand your point. They are saying that they reported that the intel community presented this document and its existence and showed it to both the president and the president-elect. It doesn't seem like the president-elect got that same briefing, but Vice President Biden talked about it yesterday. So part of that is accurate. And I also want to be clear that, when there's this big tidal wave led essentially by the president-elect against the news organization, I know a lot of journalists over at CNN. I've worked with them along the way, and they're good, solid journalists. You can have a quibble about a story or how it's presented or the angle they come from, but much like they stood with us when the Obama administration was saying that we were not real news.
Right.
I think it's important that we stand with news organizations and make sure that they have the access that we do.
Well, and they're sticking by their story.
Well, yeah, look,
is.
I actually like Jake Tapper. In terms of as a reporter, I think he does a pretty good job. So it's not anything personally or everybody's fake news over there or anything like that. I just don't buy that argument. I just don't buy the argument they're making.
And like I said, you can criticize the story and how it's presented, but I think it's a quick leap that I see on social media that CNN should be shunned out. But to your first question, Dwight Eisenhower did forecast this, and that was the message of the military-industrial complex. His concern was that there is this giant thing that was created after World War II of not only the defense apparatus, but the intelligence apparatus that was then funneling in money and influence into lobbyists and lawmakers, and then they would leave their jobs in government and go run the companies that then needed to get the access to have the full circle. So he warned about this as a corrosive, he said, element of society.
And I mean, just following up on that point, then, has what Eisenhower predicted in some measure come true? I mean, the concerns he had, not just about the kind of agencies in their infancy, CIA, but also FBI, and that brings us to Jim Comey and his future. Wall Street Journal opining yesterday that Jim Comey needs to resign or Jeff Sessions needs to seek his resignation.
Yeah, I think that this Inspector General's report, investigation rather, that just started yesterday, is probably going to lead to something along those lines, if I had to guess.
And what about...
But wouldn't he resigned anyway with the new administration coming in?
No, he doesn't seem inclined to resign.
Not really.
Yeah, he doesn't seem inclined to. And it's interesting, we talked to former Attorney General Alberto Gonzales yesterday, and of course, Comey was his Deputy Attorney General for a year while Gonzales was Attorney General. And he said, if I had to be constructively critical of Jim Comey, and we had some disagreements, but he has tremendous respect for him. But he said when he, comes to a position, he really digs in on that position. He digs in. And I think that was a kind of a soft way of saying, I mean, he's not going to go willingly. It may have to be the window, not the stairs for Comey.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. And listen, let's look back. And as you look back, I mean, the reason, and Democrats point to Comey's letters as one of, and maybe the reason Hillary Clinton loses, the real reason that happened and the way that Comey acted the way he acted was because Loretta Lynch met with President Clinton on a tarmac in Arizona for 30 minutes and essentially had to recuse herself from the oversight of that investigation. By doing that, Comey's hand was, he had to do basically what he did.
Yeah.
Well, who's going to investigate the investigators? I mean, don't you think Attorney General Loretta Lynch should be investigated for that clandestine meeting with Bill Clinton?
I think that this Inspector General will not stop at, that letter or the questions about Comey. So I bet that's all part of it.
I want to get your take, too, on Obama's policy. He has finally found a group of immigrants who he does not want to provide asylum for in this country. They are anti-communists from Cuba. But difficult to reconcile his position on Cuban political asylum seekers in what is still a communist dictatorship as compared to the arguments he's made on behalf of his executive actions for other Central American refugees, isn't it?
You're exactly right. Yeah, I mean, he ends the wet foot, dry foot policy that essentially says once you hit land, you've made it. And after negotiations with Cuba, but I think the critics on Capitol Hill would say, what exactly did we get out of all of these negotiations? The political prisoners are still happening. In fact, when President Obama visited Havana, 50 people were put in jail. So I think there's some real questions, especially here in Florida, where I am today. I'll be in Naples doing the show tonight, and there's a lot of concern about that policy change.
Before we let you go, we mentioned the book, 3 Days in January, talked about it, Dwight Eisenhower's military-industrial complex, what he meant by that. You've got interviews with Eisenhower relatives and speechwriters in the book. And I know you had mentioned last week that you're going to be launching a book tour in the near term. Do you have any details on that, particularly a Chicago stop yet?
I don't have a date yet on Chicago, but I guarantee you that I will be there in coming weeks. This tour down in Florida has kind of kicked it off. It's 3 days in January, Dwight Eisenhower's final mission, and I look at the farewell speech January 17th ahead of JFK's inauguration January 20th. But it's not just a speech. It's about a narrative of that time, and we use that moment to kind of bounce back to President Eisenhower's presidency and all that he got done. There's an hour special this weekend, Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, that 7 p.m. your time, that goes by the same name. And we've been working on that, kind of tracking with the book for the past 6 months.
Oh, that's excellent. I look forward to the book and the special Sunday at 7 p.m. on Fox. And it's a nice timing because I can compare and contrast the substance of what Eisenhower had to say to the pep rally that President Obama had for his farewell address at McCormick Place. Bret Baier, host of Fox News Special Report, author of the book 3 Days in January, Special Report 5 p.m. Chicago time, Monday to Friday. The special this Sunday, the 15th at 7 p.m. on the book 3 Days in January. Bret Baier, thanks so much for joining us.
All right, we'll see you guys.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Not competing with football, so that's good. Today, mostly cloudy, cold, a high of 26 degrees. Some flurries tonight, and then your weekend will be mostly cloudy both days. Chance of sun, just a little bit of it on Sunday. And it's going to be a little bit warmer. Highs in the low to mid-30s. Let's get those travel times. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy. There's no football at Soldier Field this weekend, but traffic's a little slow in the area on southbound Lakeshore Drive from 18th to the Stevenson. Northbound traffic's moving well. We see mild delays on the northbound Tri-State now. Plainfield Road to the Hinsdale Oasis, Ogden to 31st. That's from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Veterans Memorials, though, 75th to the Reagan Tollway and Butterfield to Roosevelt. Edens is 23 minutes either way between Lake Cook and Montrose. Kennedy, 33 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 30. The Eisenhower, 38 minutes, Thorndale to the Loop, outbound 35. Stevenson, 46 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan is 36 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northwest Indiana's fine. South Shoreline trains are running again. That's traffic on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest-growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Chris Veldman of ServiceMaster DSI, the largest ServiceMaster franchise in the United States and a customer of Signature Bank. In our business, we respond to disaster, and we never know when disaster will strike, whether it's flooding in Louisiana or a house fire in Chicago. Not all banks understand that need for flexibility, but Signature Bank does. That's why we consider them so much more than a bank. They have been our business partner since 2006, when their three co-founders, Mick, Kevin, and Brian, started the bank. Signature Bank is a key part of our growth strategy at ServiceMaster DSI.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
When you present your business card, what do you want it to say about you? If that card has the letters CMA after your name, it says you know the 11 most crucial areas of management accounting. It says you've mastered an exam that only has a 50% pass rate. It says you've distinguished yourself from your peers, all of which makes your business card a keeper. The CMA certification, you've got to earn it. Visit cmacertification.org for details.
Mike Rowe here. Today I'm with Frank, one of the heating and cooling pros at 1 Hour. Frank's got his head up event right now. How's it going up there? Frank knows what he's talking about. He's been with 1 Hour for how long, Frank?
14 years.
That's a long time. Over that time, he's worked on tons of different equipment, taken countless hours of training, and that makes Frank the man.
No, Mark Rowe's the man.
I'm sorry, Frank. Say again?
Mike Rowe's the man.
I heard him the first time. For any heating need, call 855-1 Hour today. Say it again, Frank.
Mike Rowe's the man.
That's what I'm talking about. Each independent franchise is licensed in its respective state or county.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, bad news for Barack Obama and the Choom Gang.
The Choom Gang. Will you stop it? Why don't we call it the Choom Gang? Because I know a few members of the Choom Gang.
Well, it is the Choom Gang. That's what they call themselves.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
When he was state senator.
Yeah,
They smoked a lot of pot in Springfield.
Smoke dope, and then you get the munchies and you go eat some dog. That's apparently what the protocol was with the Choom Gang, as far as I understand it. But there's a landmark study, as it's being termed, on marijuana, since it's becoming so popular in this country, because politicians who care so much about your health and are unwilling to stop profligate spending or to raise taxes that could hurt them politically. So they just legalize stuff and tax it and say, don't do this. But, of course, you need to do it because this is a predatory policy, and we're counting on you doing it because we've already budgeted for and spent the revenue we expect to receive from you doing it. That's how it works. That's a scam. But here is a study that comes to us from the National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine that finds marijuana does increase the likelihood of schizophrenia, triggers heart attacks. Most of the drug's medical benefits are characterized as unproven. There is a federal advisory panel admitted cannabis can almost certainly ease chronic pain and might help some people sleep, but it dismisses most of the drug's other supposed medical benefits. For example, the researchers concluded there's not enough research to say whether marijuana effectively treats epilepsy, one of the most widely recognized reasons for medical marijuana prescriptions. The report also cast doubt on using cannabis to treat cancers or certain symptoms of Parkinson's disease or helping people beat addictions. 28 states and the District of Columbia have legalized marijuana, including Illinois, have legalized marijuana for a variety of medical uses. 8 of those states, plus D.C., have also legalized it for recreational use. It's a billion-dollar industry in states like Colorado and Washington, and it's come in this way to Illinois because we're a mob economy run on drugs and gambling, and I assume prostitution will be legalized as well, so that
It's another form of revenue. I mean, Colorado,
that's the
they're
important
making
thing.
so much money, and it's so weird because these people who own the marijuana shops, since it's federally not legal, they can't put their money in the banks because it's FDIC insured. So there's just mounds of cash, and they have hired all these security guards to protect their money.
Warehouses full of cash. That's right.
But then also, I'll never forget, ABC News did a story about the first 100 days of legalized recreational marijuana, and they interviewed a mom who was just at the store. She's like, well, everyone's doing it. It's legal now, so I guess I'll try. And she bought some gummy bears. I guess that's a big deal. There's marijuana in the gummy bears and some brownies.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a gateway drug to something else.
But understand what the government's posture is. States like Illinois, where it's just a small group of people for glaucoma. We just want to provide for glaucoma. Oh, well, then why do we need 18 dispensaries just for a couple thousand glaucoma patients.
Because eventually it's going to be legalized and they're already set up.
Of course, this is the same thing as redefinition of marriage. We start here, we say this is all we want, and we end where we ultimately want. We just do it piecemeal. That's what's happening here. And just understand something else about the government's attitude about you, Sally Housecoat and Johnny Punchclock. You are just a revenue stream for them. That's how they view you. If they can get you, if you engage in destructive behavior, and you can minimize the political cost of giving the government stamp of approval on that destructive behavior, and it generates cash from you to them, they're all for it. You think they're protecting you? They're predators. They are predators. They're predators with red light cameras. They're predators with tobacco taxes. They're predators with sugary drink taxes. They're predators with legalizing drugs and taxing them. If you don't understand that fundamental nature of government, then you understand nothing, and you will continue to be preyed upon by government.
I weep for the future.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow deplorables, ready for America to be great again?
The American people have spoken.
Time to celebrate the Trump-Pence inauguration and Obama leaving office. Don't let the door hit you in the... It's time to take our country back. Don't miss the Chicagoland inauguration Deplore-a-Ball. Friday, January 20th at Diplomat West Banquets, 681 West North Avenue in Elmhurst. A great time brought to you by the DuPage Deplorables, a grassroots effort for event planning and discussion for Trump supporters. They hope to raise enough funds to support their populist cause by donating a portion of the proceeds to local township Republicans and other local conservative and Tea Party grassroots organizations. Don't you dare miss the Deplore-a-Ball. Visit their Facebook group page, search for DuPage Deplorables on Facebook, or call 630-359-8200. That's 630-359-8200. The Chicagoland inauguration Deplore-a-Ball. Friday, January 20th at Diplomat West Banquets in Elmhurst. Be there.
We are going to make our country great again.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer,
we talked to Chicago FOP President Dean Angelo about the report from DOJ to be released today that says all Chicago police are racist.
And Mayor Emanuel's meeting Loretta Lynch on the tarmac. But first, let's go into the newsroom and say good morning once again to Mike Scott.
17 outside, winds north at 7, and Loretta Lynch, the U.S. Attorney General, expected in Chicago today to announce findings in their federal civil rights investigation, the probe of the Chicago police. Mayor Emanuel is expected to be with Lynch today. The mayor says out in front of that report that supposedly says, according to the Tribune, rights were violated, especially for rights of African Americans in the city of Chicago at the hands of Chicago police, that the city will use results revealed this morning as a way to continue police reforms.
My general approach will be to build off of what we've done over the last year and to continue to make the reforms and changes that are necessary because they're in our self-interest.
You may recall the investigation was prompted by the December 2015 release of video of the police shooting of Laquan McDonald. A winter storm will dump freezing rain on an area from Texas to Ohio, and it covers southern Illinois this weekend. Forecasters say the rain will hit the cold ground and freeze layers of ice over a half-inch thick. It will make travel dangerous. House takes up a repeal of Obamacare later today. Lawmakers will vote on a complex budget resolution that the House calls a procedural start to scrapping Obamacare. Cuban migrants will no longer get special treatment as the administration cancels the so-called wet foot, dry foot policy. President Obama announcing late yesterday that any Cubans who reach American shores seeking asylum will now be sent back to Cuba. Senior Volkswagen officials are being warned against traveling to the United States. 6 former and current VW managers have been indicted for their role in the German carmaker's emissions cheating scandal. One of the 6 VW managers who was indicted was arrested Saturday as he was about to fly home from Miami. Some city employees here in Chicago getting an unpleasant 2017 surprise when their doctors or pharmacists tell them their insurance has expired. City claims it's a technical error and will be corrected soon. And the Illinois Supreme Court will decide if a law allowing not-for-profit hospitals in the state to skip paying property taxes is constitutional. The news, a service of LifeLock. Grabbing coffee or breakfast, if you swipe your card, you'll leave a trail of digital information. Thieves can use that to steal your identity. Ever hear of LifeLock? Their U.S.-based team of specialists help resolve identity theft problems. Go to lifelock.com now. Use promo code RISK to save 10%. 7:33 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager is disappointed in today's university.
I don't think that 1 out of 1,000 college graduates knows about the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. I do believe that they know about carbon emissions, however. That is what they're taught. And of course, they're taught about white privilege. Every college kid is taught about white privilege. It's a sick place, the university.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Everyone looks forward to the comfort of a good night's sleep. Serta iComfort Hybrid Mattress is redesigned from the inside out to provide comfort that cradles, supports, and cools. Immerse yourself in Serta iComfort Hybrid. It's comfort reimagined.
Hello, Chicago. This is Chris Crum, host of Power Trading Radio. Online Trading Academy, the world's most trusted name in trader and investor education, is offering a series of convenient and proven workshops on trading and investing in the financial markets right here in Chicago next week. Hey, these powerful, comprehensive, and proven 3-hour workshops will teach you about the common mistakes that traders and investors make. We'll show you how we time the markets with a great degree of accuracy, and we'll teach you how to apply a simple rule-based trading and investing strategy, and you can apply it to your trading account if you want to replace or supplement your income, or to your long-term investments to create wealth over time. It's a $500 value, but if you're one of the next 5 callers to call 888-984-TRADE, you'll get it absolutely free. I'm also going to throw in a Wealth Builder Active Investor computer-based training course for those who attend. That's 888-984-TRADE, 888-984-TRADE, 888-984-TRADE. Or check us out on the web at tradingacademy.com.
The most recent U.S. Supreme Court decision on the Affordable Care Act made one thing certain. We will all have to deal with this ever-changing law until at least 2017. If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Obamacare, then you need a local expert on your side. That's right, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 20-year licensed broker who's been educating AM 560 listeners on the Affordable Care Act for the last 5 years.
Thanks, Dan. From now until January 31st, you cannot be denied coverage based on a pre-existing condition. Aetna, Coventry, United Healthcare, and Harkin Health no longer offer health insurance subsidies even if you qualify. One company still does, and they still offer plans that provide access to Northwestern Memorial, University of Chicago, and Rush University Medical Centers. Call me. I can help.
Thanks, Steve. How can our listeners get in touch with you?
They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. I went from being able to work 14, 16 hours a day with no problem to where I could barely walk a block to the store. I went on to the phytonutrients about 6 months ago, and within a couple of months, my medical doctor had cut my prescriptions down in a little bit smaller dosage. The next time I went back a month later, I walked into the doctor's office and he says, "My gosh, what's happened to you? You don't even look like the same person." He looked at my legs and the swelling had gone down. My blood pressure was down. The venous stasis ulcers that I had had on my legs for the last 4 or 5 years because of the poor circulation were all healed, and I'm feeling far better.
The new challenge will allow you to receive 2 months of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies free. And we'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-246-8751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
7:37, a check of the roads in our AM 560 traffic center with Jim Telemonti.
Thanks, Mike. The Edens is just 22 minutes like Cook to Montrose, outbound 23 at Kennedy. 38 minutes O'Hare to downtown, 24 from Montrose, 19 of the Express, outbound 30 to the airport. The Eisenhower, 43 minutes, Thorndale to the post office, outbound 37. Stevenson, 46 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 34. Ryan is 36 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State delays. Plainfield Road to 31st. From the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Veterans Memorial slows 75th to the Reagan Tollway. Butterfield to Roosevelt. Army Trail to 290. Traffic service at Staples. Resolved to get organized this year, Staples has low prices on everything your business needs to be organized, like banker's boxes, file folders, and storage bins. Right now, get 20% off select supplies. Ends 1/14. Restrictions may apply. Staples, make more happen. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the aircomfort.com Weather Center, cloudy and cold today, high 26. Passing flurry overnight, low 21. 17 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by HealthQuest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. HealthQuest Radio is heard Saturday mornings at 11 o'clock here on AM 560, The Answer.
You want more than just the headlines? Find out what's going on and what it means with me, Dennis Prager, this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Morning, Dan and Amy. So 10 a.m. this morning, Loretta Lynch is going to stand on a dais with Tiny Dancer. He'll be the one on the footstool. And release their report about the Chicago Police Department, which Tiny Dancer says he hasn't seen it all, but he is going to embrace totally.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a fascinating statement in and of itself.
He has seen parts of it, and he's also questioning the new future administration. That's what he said. He saw parts of it.
He said, actually,
one section.
ABC, while he hasn't seen it, Emanuel said he plans to embrace what is expected to be a highly critical Department of Justice report. While he has not seen it. I don't know one section of the report, said Emanuel. So, no, he hasn't seen it, and he's embracing it in toto
But
anyway.
he knows what's coming because Loretta Lynch yesterday was in Baltimore. But this is what Mayor Emanuel had to say.
I don't know what the next administration's interests are. I do know what our interests are. And we as a city are on the road to reform and doing it in a way that our police officers are supported.
Well, that's good news. That has got to be just music to the ears of Chicago Police rank and file and their president, FOP President Dean Angelo, who joins us now. Dean, thanks for being with us again. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Good morning.
So Rahm says this report facilitates the path to reform for Chicago police, and that path will ultimately lead to a place where police know they are supported. Is that your instinct in terms of what this report will engender?
Well, if you look at some of the previous reports, they talk about training, they talk about equipment, they talk about technology, and there's always a price tag attached to that. With some of the information that I've been dealing with, discussions and interviews over the past couple of days about sources that are out there talking about violations of civil rights and issues of that nature, that concerns me, and, it concerns our members. We've been kicked in the shins for several years now, and we're, bracing for another one at this stage. The support's nice to hear. It'd be nicer if we actually see it facilitated, but, we're in a holding pattern at this stage.
So do you believe federal oversight is necessary?
I really don't. I think that the tools and the personnel that are here are skilled enough to do their job if they are allowed to do their job. We've got some people out of the department, although we've lost several, since Jody Weiss came in. But there is a belief that we know what we're doing. We're the police out there. We're the ones facing this uptick in violence. We're the ones that realize what works, what doesn't work. Everybody else has got their opinions, and opinions, everybody has one. So that's, they're allowed to do that, and no one's saying that you shouldn't stop conversing or talking, but to implement documents such as the investigatory stop that was mandated by the ACLU in August of 15. Dan, when we talked, I told you this is coming. I told you the violence was going to uptick.
Yep.
I told you we'll be at 700 murders before you know it, and look where we're at. And that was quite a while ago.
That was in the spring. I remember it, and I remember talking about it, and everything you said would happen, unfortunately, has transpired, and yet the culpability it seems to be directed by politicians to the police, as if the civilian leadership of the city has no responsibility in the direction of the police and what they're empowered to do or not do. And so I just see this report today being something that simply echoes the Lori Lightfoot report. We've got a problem in the Chicago Police Department, which is nearly 50% minority in terms of the racial composition of the officers. And it's systemic racism where Chicago police as a group, and it'll just be kind of, group guilt by association, Chicago police as a group do not respect the rights of minority families in Chicago. That's essentially the conclusion of the Lori Lightfoot report. Why would Loretta Lynch's report be any different?
Well, I met with, as recently as December 13th, with some representatives from the DOJ's investigative team, and I put that exact question to them. I said, please tell me you're not going to buy into that. That's going to be your barometer on this. Because, the first couple of chapters of that document belong on the bottom of your birdcage. The NAMI, the mental health issues, the technology issues, are credible. The first parts of that document are as incredible as they can be. And they're based on false data collecting. They're based on a bias. Then I asked the DOJ, I said, if you come out with a narrative like that, you're going to lose what remains of any type of basis of support or hope that these officers have that they're going to get a fair shake. Because that document was not a fair shake. I've talked to people that were involved in the NAMI and the technology component, and that narrative was not what they signed off on. And that's not what they expected with that report. They were taken aback by it, and they've apologized to me, although they're not the author, but they're mentioned in the as an investigator or a contributor to it. So it caught a lot of people by surprise, even some people that were the participants in that document.
Do you think Loretta Lynch will do what she did in Baltimore? The city of Baltimore, they reached an agreement on a consent decree that mandates reforms of the city's police department. Do you think that's going to happen in Chicago?
Well, there's no time frame to do that. This final report is probably a year ahead of any type of consent decree, and that's typically how these things work. Final report comes out first, and then a consent decree follows. But, talking to that point, they did Puerto Rico. There's 15,000 officers in Puerto Rico. It took them 3 years. They did Cleveland. There was 1,500 in Cleveland. It took 19 months. Ferguson's got 72 people in that department. It took 6 months. If you look at the time frame that the DOJ announced, it was December 7th, I think, of 2015. They're not hitting the ground running over the holiday season in 2015. They started typing after the presidential election ended in November. I'm looking at about a 10-month window of this document. And for 12,000 people in a department that this size, that's pretty quick. That's almost lightning speed to get to a conclusion. But I said to them, again, on December 13th, you're going to put this out before the inauguration. I mean, it's obvious. Well, that's not necessarily so. We're not looking at it that way. But, look where it's at.
Mm-hmm. Well, so let me ask you this. If this oversight is needed and if a consent decree would be forthcoming, isn't that an indictment of the civilian political leadership of the city when you have to have the federal government come in to provide that kind of oversight? I mean, you could argue, I guess it's both. It's an abuse of discretion by the Department of Justice, but it also is the Department of Justice saying that the city's political leadership has failed.
Well, everything's connected to the city hall, and every department works. It's the hierarchy of the structure itself. So when someone comes on from the outside and does an overview of your organization and tells you don't know what you're doing or you need our help to do it right, it doesn't bode well for the organization or the municipality that's involved. That being said, agreeing to something preemptively like this or jumping to an agreement before you open the cover, boy, I like this book, but I haven't read it yet. It seems like it's,
defies common sense
pretty,
a bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
It means it just seems like it may be a bit politicized. Yeah. Well,
bit.
Let me ask you the question from the other side. To people who are going to be persuaded by a lot of the racial demagoguery that comes from so many politicians and erstwhile politicians in the city that are going to, read the top lines of these reports like the Lori Lightfoot report and believe there is this systemic problem in the Chicago Police Department and black families and Latino families are being treated differently than white families. For example, in poor areas, people are treated differently than in the wealthier areas of Chicago. What do you say to those people with legitimate concerns, maybe misunderstandings about Chicago police?
Well, there's two segments of those neighborhoods that are under fire right now, and you've got the loud voice that we see, taking over the streets or standing on the counters at Macy's or on lunch tables while people are trying to dine. But you also have the families that no one's ever spoken to. They've not knocked on their door. They've not sat in someone's living room or at their kitchen table and asked them, what do you want? What do you want to see from the police? Because it's their corner that's gone. And I mentioned this to you again, earlier when we spoke. You lose the corner, you lose your block, you lose your community. They want their community back. If you look at our numbers, we've got nearly 800 murders. Let's call it 700. And let's look at the 4,300 people that were shot. Every one of those 4,300 shootings was actually an attempted murder. They're not shooting to scare or shooting to wound someone. They're shooting to kill them. If that guy's aim is better or that shoulder shot moves to the heart a couple of inches below, we're at 5,000 murders. Those families are sick of burying their loved ones. They're sick of knowing somebody that's at the morgue. They're sick of going to a prayer service or a candlelight vigil in their neighborhood, and they want it to end. And the people that are going to contribute the most to end that are driving around in a blue and white car.
Dean, I wanted to quickly ask you. Yeah,
that's what we need to get to. That's the realization people need to come to at some point. Get these police the tools and the support organizationally and politically that they need to do the job, and let's start getting a handle on this violence.
Dean, considering what happened in Fort Lauderdale airport shooting, on January 6th, now aviation police officers at O'Hare who aren't allowed to carry guns have been told to that they won't be sent to disturbances in baggage claim or other places outside of security. What's your response to that?
Well, there's a lot of variables around that situation there. You've got some senior individuals that have transferred from one agency to another that are working, for the agency, for the Department of Aviation Police. They are fully sworn, so, they have the ability to carry. They don't have the ability to carry at the airport. I think there's some federal restrictions there. Not all that familiar with the language of the SCIU contracts, but I do know that there's a lot of talk about arming them. There's also a lot of talk on the other side about the concerns about arming them. So it's a discussion that's going to be going on, and I think it's going to happen at a quicker pace right now based on what happened in Florida.
If they're fully sworn officers, and by the way, O'Hare is the only place where this is the case, of course. If they're fully sworn officers, why shouldn't they be able to carry? Why shouldn't they carry?
Well, and that's the argument, and if you have a 70-year-old retired police officer that now is working there as a second job after his retirement, and they're 70 years old, people are looking at their, ability to maintain control of their weapon in a situation. So there is a lot of different. There's about 3 different arguments for this entire event about arming those officers at the airport, and I'm sure we're going to hear a lot more about it pretty soon.
Yeah, I know 70-year-olds who can fill a target with center mass holes from 50 yards. So I don't know, but it seems to me.
Yeah, you're right.
All right. Well, he's Dean Angelo, of course, our friend. He's the president of Chicago Fraternal Order Police. Dean, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
You're never too old to learn something new, especially when it concerns your golden years. Join North Shore Capital Group at their retirement educational classes held at local colleges in your community. Each class is an interactive workshop that's held over 2 sessions and includes a workbook for you to keep and follow. Instructor Victor Rigoni will provide you with the tools and guidance to help you reach your personal finance retirement goals. At the end of the full class, you'll receive an opportunity to book an independent, complimentary consultation so that you can implement a proper retirement strategy. It's never too late to educate yourself about retirement. Call North Shore Capital Group, 312-260-7929. That's 312-260-7929 to find a workshop near you. North Shore Capital Group Incorporated, an independent firm with securities offered through Summit Brokerage Services, Inc., member FINRA SIPC, and advisory services offered through Summit Financial Group, Inc., a registered investment advisor. 847-735-9200, 250 East Illinois Road, Suite 201, Lake Forest, Illinois, 60045.
It's time to get away, get out somewhere warm and sunny, somewhere like Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic. That's where we're heading. We as in Dan Proft. You know Dan Proft.
If I'm being honest, I like any tequila before 10 a.m. in the morning. That was Joe Walsh doing a Dan Proft impersonation.
Exactly. The tequila will be flowing at one of their 7 bars. There's 5 gourmet restaurants, unlimited premium drinks, 24-hour room service. It's a brand new resort. It's the Secrets Cap Cana Resort and Spa in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. And it opened in November, adults only. So you're going to want to join us in Punta Cana. Get some more information and book your trip, more importantly, at 560theanswer.com, keyword passport. Now, the trip is filling up fast, so do not wait. And the price that Apple Vacations has secured for the trip is incredible and exclusive to us, but it will expire, so don't miss out. Visit 560theanswer.com, keyword passport.
Can you feel it? 2017 is going to be an exciting year for your business. You're going to be busy and can't afford to miss a beat. When you need exceptional interim help or need to recruit new talent to meet the demands of your growing business in the new year, rely on Flex Execs. For almost 30 years, Flex Execs has been supplying Chicago area businesses with mid to senior level talent in HR, finance, accounting, marketing, and operations. Whether you need one person or a team of people, either interim talent or new recruits, Flex Execs is ready to make it easy for your business to meet your deadlines and goals, control costs, and place the right people to help you deliver results. You know how finding the right people to drive your company is critical. Flex Execs makes it easy. Connect online today at flex2017.com. That's flex2017.com. Or call 630-655-0563 and talk to Chris Swanson or Karen Murphy. Flex Execs, moving business at the speed of trust.
This is Dan Proft with 60 Seconds of Sanity. Is hating our obsession with hate crime laws a hate crime? Acts of barbarism, such as those recently perpetrated against a special needs man in Chicago, invariably prompt a desultory national discussion. Rather than reflecting on what kind of culture begets those who make sport of preying on the mentally impaired, too many conservatives fall into the left's trap of hate crime mania. If you start from the left's premises, you get the left's conclusions. Those worried about a double standard when it comes to the application of hate crime laws should be worried instead about its equal application in furtherance of the left's dismal identity politics. The focus instead should be on deconstructing the cheap moral indignation coming from those who have otherwise cheered the degradation of our culture at every turn, only to plead innocent bystander when they're forced to confront the results of their advocacy, courtesy of Facebook Live. We should take the opportunity to develop the conclusions that flow from conservative premises when we have vacuous newsreaders like CNN's Don Lemon contemplating the existence of evil and suddenly discovering that mom and dad matter. This is a teachable moment, not a Me Too one.
Illinois deserves an honest analysis of the problems facing our state. Avoid the spin from the mainstream media and Springfield insiders by tuning in to Illinois Rising every Sunday at 3 p.m. AM 560's Dan Proft and the Illinois Policy Institute tackle the policy and political issues that matter most and discuss possible solutions. So if you're sick of the status quo, then be sure to listen to Illinois Rising this Sunday at 3 p.m. on AM 560. The Answer. Life should be an adventure, and so should your health. It's another can't-miss Health Quest radio show this Saturday morning. Dr. David Kolbaba.
I'm the host of Chicagoland's longest-running health news and science show. As a primary natural healthcare practitioner, I've been helping people just like you reach a higher place of health and longevity, utilizing more natural strategies as I believe our Creator meant it to be.
Create your adventure in health. Tune into Health Quest Radio every Saturday morning at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
You've saved for retirement but aren't sure what to do with your savings. You need to make it work for you and make it last. The Alpha Wealth Group has cutting-edge programs designed to help you identify the challenges surrounding retirement. They'll help you create a clear picture and roadmap for your future, how to maintain your present standard of living and make your money last. So don't wait until you're left without options. Get answers you need in a free report, 5 Simple Steps to a Stress-Free Retirement. This invaluable report is from Tom Fortino of the Alpha Wealth Group here in Chicago. Tom is the host of the Alpha Wealth Hour, heard Saturdays at 9 a.m. on AM 560 for the past 8 years, and has been featured in Fortune and on Fox Business. Are you ready to get serious about your retirement? Call the Alpha Wealth Group now for your free report, 5 Simple Steps to a Stress-Free Retirement, at 800-748-3185. That's 800-748-3185. Or visit alphawealthgroup.com. Investment advisory services offered through Retirement Wealth Advisors, Inc.
Futures and options trading involves financial risk and is not suitable for all investors.
Hi, I'm Larry Levin, president of Trading Advantage. I'm sure you've heard me talking about the markets on TV and radio. Here at Trading Advantage, we taught thousands of people how to trade. In fact, many of you listening have seen the success that comes from joining our programs. But for those who haven't, one of the most powerful ways we teach people is in our online live signals rooms. This is where my expert coaches call out live trading signals in stocks, options, futures, and Forex. I'm telling you this because I want you to try it for free today. Just call me and leave me your email address on my voicemail. I'll give you a password that will let you check it out for an entire trading day. Call 800-300-5711. My live signal rooms are exciting, fun, and you'll discover some trading methods you probably didn't know before. It's a great way to learn, and it's free. Just leave me a voicemail with your email address, and I'll give you a password so you can check it out. Call 800-300-5711 and leave me your email address on my voicemail to get your password. That's 800-300-5711. Again, that's 800-300-5711.
Here are the stories we're following at this hour. The Department of Justice to reveal findings of a CPD probe today. Knicks beat the Bulls. WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Chris Foster. The FBI Director James Comey says he'll cooperate fully with an internal investigation into how he and the agency handled the Hillary Clinton email investigation. He was unusually public about the whole thing, leading to complaints about the election being affected. Fox's John Decker's live in D.C.
The Justice Department's Inspector General has begun what he calls a wide-ranging review of the FBI's handling of its inquiry into former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's email use. Inspector General Michael Horowitz said the review was prompted by requests from lawmakers and members of the public. At issue is whether the FBI followed established policies and procedures when FBI Director James Comey publicly announced in July that the Bureau would not recommend criminal charges against Clinton related to her use of a private email server while serving as Secretary of State. Chris?
John, thanks. The House votes today on a procedural measure making it easier for Senate Republicans to repeal Obamacare when the time comes for that vote. The Affordable Care Act is one of the many topics President-elect Trump is tweeting about this morning. Here's Fox's Tanya J. Powers.
Well, Chris, the president-elect was busy on Twitter earlier today with the most recent post saying, quote, the Unaffordable Care Act will soon be history. He also promised a full report on the recent Russian hacking allegations within 90 days. Mr. Trump also posted about the publishing of unverified material and U.S. intelligence officials calling the report fake news and claiming Russia says nothing exists. He even got in a jab at his former opponent, Hillary Clinton, saying she shouldn't have been allowed to run, Chris.
Tanya, ice storm warnings from Illinois to Oklahoma have people stocking up.
Cereal, milk, some snack food.
Got ice cream, got dinners, salad, breakfast, orange juice.
Couple beers, some Bloody Mary ingredients.
There in Kansas City. Strong auto sales drive a 0.6% jump in retail sales last month. You're listening to Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
17 degrees, sunrise in Chicago, 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch expected in Chicago today to announce findings of a federal civil rights investigation of Chicago police. Mayor Emanuel yesterday got out in front of that report, saying the city will use results revealed this morning as a way to continue already in place police reforms.
My general approach will be to build off of what we've done over the last year and to continue to make the reforms and changes that are necessary because they're in our self-interest.
In other news we're following this morning, a Chicago man is accused of making threats against Governor Rauner and a DuPage County Sheriff, John Zaruba. Eric Pence was arrested yesterday on charges of threatening a public official and harassment using an electronic communication device. A former Chicago high school teacher received a probation sentence after pleading guilty to sexually abusing a 15-year-old boy. Benjamin Zolo pleaded guilty to aggravated criminal sexual abuse charges. The 34-year-old who taught at Lincoln Park High contacted the boy online. He was arrested at the high school last year. An athletic director and 2 football coaches are stepping down after a hazing scandal at Lake Zurich High School. Athletic director Rolando Vasquez and head coach Dave Proffitt have submitted their resignations. A probe into the hazing was closed last month without any charges. Knicks over the Bulls, 104-89. The news, a service of Staples. Resolved to get organized this year? Staples has low prices on everything your business needs to be organized this year, like banker's boxes and storage bins. And right now, get 20% off select supplies. Ends 1/14. Restrictions apply. Staples, make more happen. 8:03, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Turnkey.pro. From the Fox Business Network, here's Ginny Casola.
From the Fox Business Network, Bank of America's earnings were better than expected in its recent quarter. It's the first bank to report after the Federal Reserve raised interest rates. Though the bank says the change came too late to see any impact in the report, one figure, its adjusted revenue, was weaker than forecast. Bank of America shares are lower in pre-market trading. Another automaker is being investigated to see if it was cheating on emissions in diesel cars. French prosecutors have assigned a 3-judge panel to look into whether Renault committed emissions fraud. And Nissan is about to test self-driving cars in London. The Japanese car maker says a modified version of its electric Leaf compact car will be tested next month. The British government is encouraging the development and testing of autonomous driving in Britain. Nissan is also planning to build 2 new cars in the United Kingdom. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Ginny Cosola.
8:05 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-348-2121. That's 1-800-348-2121. 1-800-348-2121. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop, you save. Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price can vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
8:06. Let's get a check of the roads in our AM 560 traffic center with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Northbound I-65 has delays from 109th Avenue to US 30 in Maryville, where there's a crash. Edens is 22 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 23. Inbound Kennedy delays start at Montrose. 36 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, 24 from Montrose, 19 in the Express. Outbound 11 minutes to Montrose, 30 to the airport. The Eisenhower, now 56 minutes, Thorndale to the Loop, 41 from Manheim, outbound 40 to Thorndale. Stevenson, 55 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 34. And Ryan is 40 minutes, 95th to downtown. Tri-State delays are northbound from the Stevenson to 31st, and from the Reagan Tollway to the Eisenhower. Northbound Veterans Memorial slow 63rd to the Reagan Tollway and Lake to 290. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast From the AirComfort.com Weather Center, here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Today, mostly cloudy and cold, high 26. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a passing late-night flurry, low 21. Mostly cloudy and warmer for tomorrow with a high 32. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
17 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 8:30. Continuous news coverage at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Illinois Rising, hosted by Dan Proft and the Illinois Policy Institute. Sunday afternoons at 3 on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning. Welcome to your Friday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
So, Joe, for the final time as president, I am pleased to award our nation's highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
If you confirm me, my watchwords will be solvency and security in providing for the protection of our people and the survival of our freedoms.
It will not be my intention to do anything to benefit any American.
I understand that.
It's for all Americans, but everything that we do.
Look, I don't want to impute a general conspiracy here, but it looks as if the Democrats, on their way out the door, are trying to leave behind as many landmines as they can.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
I'm just trying to compose myself a little bit. Dan and Amy here.
What? You're crying too?
I
Huh?
mean, it's
just
just,
like Uncle Joe.
You didn't know. Oh, you. There's a lot to get to here. The confirmation hearings for Trump nominees for cabinet positions have been fascinating. Fascinating discussions prompted by the Democrats. So thanks so much for that. I had no idea how important climate change science was to the incoming CIA director. I had no idea how important a discussion on blind trusts was to the incoming HUD director. I had no idea how central LGBT issues were to the incoming Secretary of Defense. So it's been really enlightening. But before we even get to that, I just want to make sure I understand something with President Obama's announcement, one of his midnight edicts. I just want to make sure I understand something. So when Russia lauds Trump, that's bad, and Trump is Putin's Manchurian candidate. And when Cuba lauds Obama, that's good, and Obama's a humanitarian. I just want to make sure I understand that correctly. And to help us try and crack these codes, we're pleased to be joined again by our friend Jed Babin, former Undersecretary at Department of Defense, also a contributor to the American Spectator and the Washington Times. Jed, thanks so much for joining us. Can you help me with that riddle? Is that about right with Cuba versus Russia and the two principles?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's absolutely right. That's the way the left sees it. You know, anytime you get praised by a dictator in a semi-communist or, Russian satellite sort of state, then absolutely, it's a great thing. And, you get Raul Castro praising Obama and, John Kerry going down there to suck up to him. That's all to the good. It's all peace and love and understanding. But, if anybody praises Trump, anybody, for any reason, heck, for Theresa May to come out and say, hey, this might be a good guy we can work with. Oh, my God, that's terrible, and it's a sign of war and strife and everything else that goes with it. You're right, but what's the surprise? It's just the same old, same old.
Well, I'm sure you feel like me, and you saw the Obama policy change that asylum seekers from repressive communist Cuba will be returned. That's the one Central American group of refugees that will be returned to their home country. And you thought the same thing I thought, which is, oh, gosh, it's just too bad Hugo Chavez isn't alive to see this. It would be a nice moment.
Sure.
Yeah, nice moment.
Nicolas Maduro is still there in Venezuela. He's just as good. They're pretty much the same thing. But, it's all the same. It's always the same. And what we really learned this week is that Trump has a bunch of guys in the cabinet who are going to be pretty strong and really not entirely, giving in to him whatever he says. In fact, they're going to. And, they're basically going to disagree with him whenever they need to.
Right. I mean, that's what I've learned.
Madison. Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's what I've learned this week, that they're not on the same page on issue after issue. I mean, you've got, Mattis yesterday saying Russia is a threat to NATO, that the U.S. should honor Iran nuclear deals and recognize Tel Aviv as the capital of Israel. And that's in sharp contrast than what Donald Trump has been saying and what he's been campaigning on.
Well, yeah, and, some of these things are going to have to go the way the president-elect wants when he gets into office. I mean, these guys are going to have to either smile, salute, smartly and just salute and say, yeah, boss, I'll do what you want. I don't think it's the right thing, but I'll do what you want. Or they're going to have to resign. And Mr. Trump, I think, is a strong enough guy to deal with it in either way. So we'll just have to see. I mean, Mattis went very far. Pompeo went very far. Mm-hmm. They both said that we're not going to do any torturing anymore. We're not going to waterboard no matter what the president says. Russia, according to both Mattis and Tillerson, is an adversary, and it can at best be an ad hoc ally of some sort at some point, but it's not going to ever be a real friend. And that, again, is different from what Trump is saying. So, you've got people there who are strong, who are not going to just agree with the president and say, yes, sir, 3 bags full, sir, like you've had for the past 8 years. Obama has had a cabinet full of yes men. They've done just what he tells them and nothing else. And this is going to be a different cabinet. It's going to be a very good change because it'll be stronger because these guys are not scared to disagree with the president-elect.
Yeah, but that's precisely right, which is why the reporting on it is so comical, because it's dissension in the ranks. No, these are people who are accomplished and, as you say, Jed, strong enough to articulate their position and defend it and advocate for it. And ultimately, it will be the president's decision in many of these realms. Some it won't be. It will be more complicated than that. But I thought that was the point: is you want talented people around you, and then you charge them with going to do their job running this department or that agency.
Well, yeah, I mean, that is the whole idea. And, I think Trump is doing a pretty good job of that, at least from what we saw in these cabinet hearings. Jeff Sessions, who I think is going to be an absolutely fabulous attorney general, defended himself against all this BS about him being a racist and so on and so forth. But, he is out there to administer justice, not to apply politics in place of it. So, that's where we have a strong enough guy in the AG slot. And, anybody who thinks that Mattis and Tillerson aren't really strong guys, they've got a big message coming.
Yeah, I believe Mattis. I thought he should have opened yesterday with the "I come in peace, but if any of you frack with me, I'll kill you all." I thought that would have kind of set a nice tone.
I think probably the guys who were preparing him, he probably wanted to say that.
Yeah.
I think the guys preparing him for the testimony probably said, you might want to tone that down a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
Don't you think Pompeo and Mattis both, struck a very tough line on Russia and their role in our election?
They did. And I think that was a good thing for both of them to do. I think the jury is still out about what happened and what effect it actually had. I mean, the real point that I need to make and you need to make is that all it shows is that we need to do a much better job of protecting our election process. And we've got a big message right now. We've got 2 years to do it in terms of between now and 2018. And, let's get on with it. Let's get ready and do the protections we need.
Do you have any concerns about the role of various members of the Trump family in the administration? Jared Kushner, Ivanka, other siblings of Ivanka's. Any concern there?
Well, no. I look back to what John F. Kennedy did. I mean, he made his little brother the attorney general, and you joked about it, saying, well, he needed to learn how to practice law.
There you go. So, sure.
It doesn't bother me. I think there are going to be bumps in the road. Obviously, there are. I mean, there's never anything, you can always expect bumps in the road when any family gets together in any respect. That's kind of the way it goes. We're human beings. But I don't think there's going to be any problems. And I think, with Melania staying in New York to make sure that the young man, Barron, I guess his name is, finishes school, I think that's a good thing. I think, she's doing what she needs to do, and Ivanka can come in and, smile prettily and act like the first lady. I mean, I think it's going to be great.
And President Obama, or soon-to-be former President Obama, he's going to be staying in Washington, D.C. Is that going to be a strange dichotomy then between Because normally when you're done with the presidency, you move out of town or go back to your home state, but he's not doing that in this case.
Amy, you hit on one of the biggest things that's going to be going on in the next 4 years. Obama, he doesn't want to be forgotten, so he's not going away. And when you look at it, he's going to be like this president in exile. He's going to be speaking on behalf of the Democratic Party. You're going to see interviews with him almost every day on television. He's going to be writing op-eds, everything to trash Trump. And, if he had any sense of history or any sense of the obligations, the post-presidential obligations of the presidency, if he had any idea of those things, he would go home to Chicago and just shut up for a while.
Well, why do we have to take him back?
He's not getting rid of his house
but the media is going to force it on us.
Well,
That's the way it is.
But the good news for you, Jed, is that you guys still can catch up for coffee in D.C., so you'll have time.
I don't think I'm on his Christmas card list, so I don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon.
Let me ask you. Let me ask you another question. Yesterday, Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz, strange bedfellow somewhat, authored a co-resolution to defund the United Nations unless and until they essentially rescind the resolution that was passed against Israeli settlements. What's your take on the United Nations and that resolution that was co-authored by those two senators?
Well, my take on the United Nations is expressed in my book, Inside the Asylum, which I recommend to all the listeners. Look it up on Amazon and go buy the darn thing.
Yeah.
But the basic bottom line is the UN is a media circus to benefit the despots and dictators and rogues and terrorists of the world. And they proved it again with that particular resolution. It was shameful for Obama to not veto it. And I think, Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham, anything that those guys can agree on can't be too bad. So, I think that we really ought to have that passed and signed by the president. I don't know if it'll get all the way through there, but I think defunding the United Nations, even for a year, we pay something like, we pay 22% of their budget, which is $3 or $4 billion, and we pay another $3 or $4 billion on top of that as so-called voluntary donations to a lot of UN councils and yada, 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 and activities. We pay about $8 billion a year. How about let's just say, you guys have a nice day, we'll see you next year, and maybe we'll refund you at that point, but maybe not. That's the kind of thing that we need to do. The UN has been a disaster for us for many, many, many years. And I'm not just talking about for our allies, too, but, the fact of the matter is when in a weak moment, for example, Harry Truman agreed to have the French on the Security Council to veto pretty much everything we want to do. Russia, China, Britain, us, and France. In the Security Council, you have 5 permanent members. The thing is a disaster. It is passing resolutions that are contrary to our national interests. I could go on and on and on. You can look at the UN bureaucracy. There's thousands of people who work for the UN. They get paid, I think, roughly 30% more than even American federal government workers who, by the way, get paid more than the going rate in the free economy. These guys are sitting there fat, dumb, and happy. They're wasting our money, and we need to really just kick them in the tail really, really hard.
He is Jed Babin, former Deputy Undersecretary of Defense, also a contributor to American Spectator and Washington Times. The book, Inside the Asylum. Go buy it on Amazon already. Jed Babin, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. We'll do it again soon.
Eddie joined us on our Turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
We could see some sun. Haven't seen that ball of orange and yellow in a while, but could peek out today, and then some cloud coverage, a high of 26 degrees. Passing flurries late tonight, and then the weekend looks okay, mostly cloudy both days, but a little bit warmer, a high Saturday of 32, and on Sunday, we'll hit a high of 34 degrees. Let's get those travel times. How's the inbound Kennedy? Here's Jim Telemonte with the answer.
Amy, it's heavier than it's been all morning, I'm sorry to say. Delays start at Montrose. It's 54 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. 44 from Montrose, 32 in the Express. Outbound 27 to the airport. But the Edens is fine inbound. Don't have any extra delays coming from there. Outbound, slow Montrose to Niles Center and at Lake Avenue. The crash just reported. The Eisenhower, 56 minutes. Thorndale to the post office. 44 from Manhunt. Outbound 34 to Thorndale. Stevenson, 55 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. How about it's good? The ride's still very heavy. 40 minutes, 95th to downtown. Lakeshore Drive slow southbound Lawrence to Fullerton. There's some debris south of Montrose in the right lane. And it's heavy 18th to the Stevenson. Northbound slow at the north end. Foster to Hollywood. Tollways are pretty light. That's traffic on AM 560, The Answer.
Have you ever mistakenly deleted a file and gone into panic mode? Do you have any clue what a hybrid integration is or a cloud migration? Well, if you want to save time and money, then let the professionals at Turnkey IT customize a solution that's sized just right for your company. For 20 years now, locally owned and operated, Turnkey IT has become the brand businesses trust for their IT needs. Why? Well, Turnkey IT understands small businesses just like yours. They have monthly plans available for your team of 100 or a plan customized for your individual system. Turnkey IT has a solution. They even have equipment included if you want to go all in. And their great team of professionals help users every day with network monitoring to help desks to on-site support 24/7. So stop worrying about your technology and let it work for you. Visit turnkey.pro today to see how simple and affordable it can be to focus on your business without worrying about that technical stuff. That's turnkey.pro, turnkey.pro.
Hey, are you thinking about the IRS right now? Man, if the IRS is coming after you, your IRS problem is there day and night. You need help to fight the IRS. I recommend you call my very good friend, Attorney Stephen Leahy of Open Tax Resolutions. Hey, he's got a special offer going on right now. If you're not certain about your position with the IRS, he will pull your personal IRS transcripts and find out exactly where you stand for free. Find out where you stand. If you owe back taxes, if you have unfiled returns. Hey, if you're afraid of the IRS, call my friend Steve Leahy now. 312-664-6649. Steve's the host of the IRS Radio Hour, heard every Sunday at 5 right here on AM 560. He's also a really good friend of mine, and I don't know of anybody better in dealing with the IRS. Call him now. Steve Leahy, 312-664-6649. That's 312-664-6649.
How can you get a better grasp on what your portfolio looks like for retirement? Tabota & Associates just might have the technology to help you answer that question. Jack Tabota and the team at Tabota & Associates builds retirement plans custom fit for you using a variety of insurance and investment products. At Tabota & Associates, no two retirement plans are the same, and they can use a tool called Riskalyze to show what your risk tolerance number is. Once you have it, you'll have a better understanding of how much risk you can take on and if your current portfolio is exposing you to potential losses that you cannot afford. Why not let the team at Tabota & Associates do the heavy lifting for you? 630-777-7955. That's 630-777-7955. Take some of the guesswork out of planning and Riskalyze your retirement portfolio today. Tabota & Associates, 630-777-7955. Investments involve risk, including the potential loss of principal invested. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, who is more deserving of the honorifics conferred to them? Barack Obama and the Nobel Peace Prize, or Joe Biden, the Presidential Medal of Freedom? The Presidential Medal of Freedom with distinction, given only to three other individuals in U.S. history: Pope John Paul II, Ronald Reagan, and Colin Powell. And, of course, Joe Biden is, of course, often named in the same sentence as any one of those three individuals. Here was President Obama surprising him. Surprise, buddy.
So, Joe, for your faith in your fellow Americans, for your love of country, and for your lifetime of service that will endure through the generations, I'd like to ask the military aide to join us on stage.
Hurry up.
What's going on?
For the final time as president, I am pleased to award our nation's highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
You. How did you know that's what I wanted?
Oh, you're silly. But yeah, then he turned his back on the crowd because he was so overcome with emotion, and then turned back around and proudly the award. The medal was draped around his neck.
Your favorite Joe Biden accomplishment that you would say probably is the reason that he is so deserving of the Presidential Medal of Freedom, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer.
I got it, because he's likable.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that is the one of the criteria for the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Because he was President Obama's brother. Brother from another mother, but he even called him his brother. You're my brother. They're that close. They're that tight. And Donald Trump.
And then they made
Donald
out.
Trump. Well, they didn't make out, but they did talk about the bromance and how they're so tight.
This also gives the internet one last chance to talk about our bromance.
Oh, they're delightful.
Well, Barack Obama did quote an Irish poet.
I had to quote an Irish poet. Think where man's glory most begins and ends, and say my glory was I had such friends.
Oh, he's a real hit at the pub scene. Yeah, that's William Butler Yeats. Obama probably didn't know because his speechwriter didn't provide the citation. Speaking of providing citations, that's how I like to remember Joe Biden, as a plagiarist. And also, to be fair, one of the pioneers in hair plug technology. He was one of the first prominent politicians to have an alfalfa field planted in his forehead, and I don't think that should go unnoticed. I mean, I'm happy to hear other accomplishments.
Well, I'm Googling right now.
Let's see if you can find
one.
one.
What has Joe Biden accomplished in his political career?
Steve in Lake Geneva.
Yeah, I was just laughing and listening to you guys talking about Joe Biden and President Obama, and the word tin pot dictator comes to mind, and I can't help but think that every time I hear anybody talk about these two giving each other medals and slapping each other on the back.
That's not the only place they're slapping each other, Steve.
Hey.
Here's what comes to mind. You know what comes to mind when I saw this story come over the transom?
What?
Was the John Huston line to Jack Nicholson in Chinatown. Did you ever see Chinatown?
No.
Great movie. See it this weekend. Report back on Monday. Where he said to John Huston, politicians, ugly buildings, and whores all get respectable if they last long enough. That's what the Joe Biden award. It's a longevity award. And you can decide if he's a politician, an ugly building, or a whore. Eric in Romeoville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, I wanted to thank Joe Biden and say he's deserving the award for teaching me how to use a shotgun to defend my home.
That's a good one. I forgot about that one. Nice, Eric. Charlotte in the southwest suburbs.
Hi, the high-tech lynching of Justice Clarence Thomas.
Another accomplishment. That's a good one. Thanks for the call, Charlotte. I mean, I forget all of the highlights from the Biden career. Thanks so much.
He spent 36 years as a U.S. Senator.
Yes.
I'm just throwing these things.
Like an ugly building or something else.
We just wash the hair. You know, I work on my hair a long time, and you hit it. He hits my hair.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I have actually been on Balance of Nature for a year now. I have MS, and I recently had an MRI. This is the first year that I've had a stable MRI, so I'm thrilled. When I have an MRI with MS, usually there are glowing spots that come through, which is damage on the nerves in my brain and my spinal cord, and when they're glowing, it means they're active. And then my last MRI, they pulled it up, and I honestly couldn't believe that it was my MRI. There was nothing glowing. And in fact, the dark spots were shrinking. They were healing. And the doctor actually said to me, I think we're in remission. I was so happy. I had no idea that could be my reality.
The new challenge will allow you to receive 2 months of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies free. And we'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
The website is upstream-ideas.com. Premium content that complements what we do on this show. Podcasts of our Illinois Rising program that's runs on Sundays that focuses on state of Illinois politics and policy. Long-form interviews. This week, Steve Cortez, Trump surrogate. Follow the Logic Man on the Street. Interviews this week at University of Chicago. It's all at upstream-ideas.com.
And coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Who knew how important climate change was to the new CIA director? We'll discuss that issue with Patrick Moore, co-founder of Greenpeace, at 8:38.
And finally, the federal government agrees people from Indiana shall be called Hoosiers. But first, to the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
18 degrees, cloudy skies. Attorney General Loretta Lynch is in Chicago today. She'll announce the findings of the federal civil rights investigation of the Chicago police. Mayor Emanuel, out in front of that report, says the results will continue, he hopes, police reforms that have already started in the city.
My general approach will be to build off of what we've done over the last year and to continue to make the reforms and changes that are necessary because they're in our self-interest.
It is now the House's turn in Washington, D.C. to consider a repeal of Obamacare. In a news briefing yesterday, House Speaker Paul Ryan cited rising premiums and called a repeal actually a rescue mission.
We need to show that there's a better way forward. We need to show that even though this law is collapsing, we can bridge ourselves to a much, much better system.
Earlier yesterday, the Senate approved the resolution to get that process started on a vote of 51 to 48. 1,000-mile portion of the country from Amarillo, Texas, into Ohio, preparing for a storm that could coat roads with up to a half-inch of ice.
I declared a state of emergency and called up the Missouri National Guard in preparation for the effects of Winter Storm Jupiter.
Governor Eric Greitens says Missouri could be the hardest hit of all the states. SpaceX expected to launch a rocket Saturday for the first time since a Falcon 9 rocket exploded on the launch pad in September. It will happen at Vandenberg Air Force Base in California. Some City of Chicago employees are getting an unpleasant surprise as the new year begins. When they go to the doctor or pharmacist, they're being told their insurance has expired. City of Chicago claims it's just a technical error, but right now, police and firefighters are being forced to pay full cost of prescriptions until the whole thing is ironed out. An athletic director and 2 football coaches are stepping down following a hazing scandal at Lake Zurich High School. AD Rolando Vasquez and head coach Dave Proffitt and another assistant have all submitted their resignations. And police in South Roxana, Illinois, were scratching their heads. They admitted they were a little surprised when they saw a car speeding down the road. It was a Ford Focus, an old one, traveling at 135 miles an hour. Chief Bob Coles in South Roxana says officers eventually did catch up with 27-year-old Benjamin Henke, who apologized and said he was just trying to see how fast his friend's car could go. Nix over the Bulls, 104.89. The news, a service of LifeLock. Grabbing coffee or breakfast? If you swipe your card, you'll leave a trail of digital information thieves can use to steal your identity. Ever hear of LifeLock? Their U.S.-based team of specialists help resolve identity theft problems. Go to lifelock.com now. Use promo code RISK to save 10%. 8:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The Mike Gallagher Show.
Today's Democratic Party, the party that thinks it's unreasonable to expect that a voter show their ID in order to cast a ballot. It's just blatant. They are just on the side. I don't know how else to describe it. If you're a Democrat and you resent this accusation, please call me. When I say Democrats are on the side of lawlessness, tell me where I'm wrong.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Get ready, Chicagoland. Rid yourself of those cold weather winter blues and get to the debut of the Northern Illinois Golf Expo at the Lake County Fairgrounds in Grays Lake, January 13th through 15th. This event is a golf enthusiast dream come true and will warm you up fast with great opportunities to get your golf game ready for spring. Don't worry, it'll be here before you know it. Check out amazing deals on golf courses, resorts, equipment, and apparel, and demo the newest equipment from golf's major manufacturers. Plus, get free lessons from local PGA professionals. Try your luck with daily contests and skills challenges for fantastic prizes. Plus, enter to win the grand prize, your very own Pro X Plus indoor golf simulator. Mark your calendars for Friday through Sunday, January 13th through 15th, the Northern Illinois Golf Expo at the Lake County Fairgrounds in Grays Lake. For more information, visit northernillinoisgolfexpo.com. That's northernillinoisgolfexpo.com. Tickets are available in advance on the website, northernillinoisgolfexpo.com.
8:36 and a check of the roads in our AM 560 traffic center with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. On northbound 53, approaching the Adams Tollway I-90, watch out in the express lanes. Metal debris in the left lane. Markham, power lines are down, 167th and Lawndale. Eden's fine inbound, but outbound heavy. There's a crash at Lake Avenue in the left lane, 31 minutes, Montrose to Lake Cook. The Kennedy is 54 minutes O'Hare to downtown, 44 from Montrose, 32 in the Express, outbound 27 to the airport. The Ike, 56 minutes Thorndale to the post office, outbound 34. Stevenson, 55 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound it's fine. Orion, still 40 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State a little heavy from Ogden to 31st. The other tollways are good. Northwest Indiana, just fine. Traffic Answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the aircomfort.com Weather Center, cloudy, cold, high 26. Passing flurry late, low 21 and a high of 32 tomorrow. Currently 17, and at least we're not in International Falls, Minnesota this morning, where it is minus 39. Your next news update is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is powered by CharlesEquipment.com, keeping the lights on through winter's dark storms.
Dan and Amy, and we're getting so much feedback about Joe Biden and his accomplishments. So I thought we'd just quickly do a little retrospective before we get into our friend Patrick Moore. I mean, some of the Joe Biden highlights, because we couldn't get to all the callers who had suggestions to help us make the case for his receipt of the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Chuck Graham, state senator's here. Stand up, Chuck. Let him see you. Oh, God love you. What am I talking about?
If we do everything right, there's still a 30% chance we're going to get it wrong.
The stock market crash, Franklin Roosevelt got on television.
If I took him blindfolded and you took to the LaGuardia Airport in New York, you must think I must be in some third world country.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. They're going to put you all back in chains.
And his mom, God rest her soul, and although wait, your mom's still alive as your dad passed.
I'm proud to be President of the United States.
Where is it written we cannot lead the world in the 20th century in making automobiles? I've not seen it written anywhere. Wisest man in the Orient.
Yeah, and that's why President Obama said of Joe Biden, God has never created a better person, to which God replied, yeah, I've done better.
Oh.
And speaking of the circus music, it's a nice transition to the circus of these confirmation hearings for Trump nominations to various cabinet posts, including CIA director. Of course, you think CIA director, the first issue that comes to your mind, climate change.
Oh,
of course.
You know what? It was right on the tip of my tongue.
Freshman Senator Kamala Harris, D. California.
What's your nickname for her?
Kamala the Ugandan Giant. Little hat tip to Kamala Ugandan Giant, the World Wrestling Federation from my childhood. Kamala Harris querying CIA Director nominee Mike Pompeo about climate change.
CIA Director Brennan, who spent a 25-year career at the CIA as an analyst, a senior manager, and station chief in the field, has said that when, quote, CIA analysts look for deeper causes of rising instability in the world, one of the causes those CIA analysts see is the impact of climate change. Do you have any reason to doubt the assessment of these CIA analysts?
Senator Harris, I haven't had a chance to read those materials with respect to climate change. I do know the agency's role there. Its role is to collect foreign intelligence, to understand threats to the world. That would certainly include threats from poor governance, regional instability, threats from all sources, and deliver that information to policymakers. And to the extent that changes in climatic activity are part of that foreign intelligence collection task, we will deliver that information to you all and to the president.
Yeah, Pompeo smartly didn't want to get too deep in the weeds on this ancillary issue, but we're going to. And to help us do that, we're joined by our friend Patrick Moore. He is the co-founder of Greenpeace, now part of the CO2 Coalition. Patrick Moore, thanks again for joining us. Appreciate it.
Nice to be here, Dan. Hi, Amy.
Kamala Harris talking about the CIA and their threat assessments with respect to climate change and the prospect, as President Obama said in his farewell address, of these climate refugees soon becoming an international crisis. What is the likelihood of that threat assessment manifesting itself in the real world?
Well, you know, this has become just almost childish. Between John Kerry and President Obama going on about climate change being the greatest threat to the national security of the United States, and having all these intelligence agencies and the military fighting climate change. You know, I mean, this whole idea of fighting climate change is about the stupidest thing that has ever come down the pipe. And I'm so happy that finally we are going to get some real science into the administration of the United States instead of this fake news climate change. It's ridiculous. Of course the climate changes, but look at this winter. It's cold all over Europe. The wind and solar energy is not working in Germany for weeks because of the calm air and this high-pressure zone that's come down over both North America and Europe and Asia. And it's cold, and it's liable to get colder because the sun has gone into a very low cycle. And some people believe that the sun is involved in climate change, and you never hear them talk about that. Of course, the sun is responsible for the climate. If it wasn't a sun up there, this would be a frozen ball of rock. So it's time to get real about climate change and to start studying it as a science rather than as a political tool to get money and power, which is what it's been used for over these last few decades.
What in the world was Senator Harris talking about? There's a correlation between the CIA and climate control. Could you explain her thinking or her line of questioning?
There is no logic behind that. It's just that they like to say climate change whenever they get a chance because apparently it appeals to a lot of people. It is true that the climate is a very important thing. And if somebody was destroying it, it would be a bad thing. But it's actually got a little bit warmer over the last 200 or 300 years since the little ice age eased off, and that wasn't a very nice time for farmers. And now the growing season is longer now than it was back then. The River Thames in England froze over the last time in 1814 after it had been freezing over pretty regularly in the winters for 200 or 300 years. The little ice age was not a good time, and this is the modern warm period, and thankfully it is getting a little bit warmer, although now we might be going into a dip. There's cycles upon cycles when you go through these temperature changes, and this may be a cold snap coming on that could last for 10, 20, 30 years, so let's hope not. But many are predicting such a thing.
Well, Kamala Harris repeated the talking point of the left on this topic, that the science is settled. And, do you, Mike Pompeo, disavow the conclusions of NASA and NOAA and all the other alphabet soup agencies? Well, in point of fact, it's a bit strange that NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, refuses to release the underlying data on which they base their models and their predictions and their policy recommendations. And there are scientists and former scientists, NASA, like Dr. Roy Spencer, who essentially agree with your position on it. So it seems like this effort to continue to just repeat incessantly, the debate is over, the science is settled. Well, there's a lot of scientists and climatologists and that disagree on the merits, and there's a lot of models that have been proven erroneous from those proponents of climate change. And then there's just the unwillingness to release the data, the underlying data itself, which is an odd approach for someone who is a scientist and believes in peer review and the scientific method.
Oh, it's just all completely out of control, Dan. We've got the CO2 coalition now. It's been in operation for 2 years. Our position is that carbon dioxide is entirely beneficial, partly because it is the main food for all life on Earth. You'd think they might notice that.
That seems to be important. Yeah, that would seem to be important.
Life is all carbon-based. The carbon for life comes from CO2 in the atmosphere. That's what plants use for their main food, along with water and the other nutrients they need. But carbon dioxide and water are the two most important ingredients of life. That's what sugar is made with. Glucose, by photosynthesis, is made from carbon dioxide and water. That is the basis of energy for all life on Earth, and in fact is the basis for all the fossil fuels that provide 85% of world energy today, was photosynthesis. All the fossil fuels were made with solar energy, and they are organic. as in organic chemistry, which is the chemistry of carbon. People have to learn a few basics about science in order to throw off this complete fabrication that has been foisted upon the whole world that carbon dioxide is dangerous and a pollutant. And the first thing the EPA has to do, and I hope Scott Pruitt does this when he gets in there, is to reverse the endangerment finding on CO2. That is the basis of all of these so-called climate change policies, but in fact they are energy policies, and energy underlies our entire economy, and they are making energy more expensive and more difficult to get with these rules. The Clean Energy Plan is based on getting rid of carbon dioxide. That is stupid. Carbon dioxide is fertilizer for all of our food crops and our forests, and if it was doubled from what it is now, that would be a good thing.
And so I hear you saying it would be a bad idea to make photosynthesis illegal. So that's probably not the way we want to go. What about this idea? And again, in terms of the science is settled, the left position is always carbon emissions, which you're just speaking to. But Donald Trump has sent a sort of mixed signals, in part maybe because of Ivanka's view on this, about the Paris Accords. Your view on the deleterious impact of those accords if the United States were to go down that road or even take a neutral posture?
The United States doesn't have to get out of the Paris Accord because it has no teeth. It doesn't mean anything. They called it the historic Paris Accord when there's not a single thing in it that is binding on anyone, and there are no consequences for not living up to the things you said you might do. And China, for example, was given a free pass to continue increasing its CO2 emissions until at least 2030, which might as well be eternally. There's nothing in that Paris Accord that actually requires anybody to do anything. So any country that wants to, including the United States, can basically just ignore it and continue going to the meetings. And maybe at some point trying to turn it around into something useful. I doubt that can happen because it's totally focused on getting rid of carbon dioxide and fossil fuels. And, we got to the point where a little over a year ago, all 7 leaders of the G7 countries, the most powerful countries in the world, agreed that fossil fuels should be eliminated entirely by the end of the century. And for them to do that sends a signal to people that we could actually do that. And it's not possible, not with our present civilization. And people, think about it. Fossil fuels, 85% of our energy, are the most responsible for our longevity, the fact that we're living longer today than we did 30, 40, 50 years ago. They are responsible for our prosperity, i.e. our wealth and standard of living. And they are responsible for our personal freedom, i.e. the fact that we can get in a car or a bus or a truck and go somewhere without having to walk or ride on a horse. And people have got so completely distanced from reality in this discussion, and they've got to come back to reality. And thank goodness President-elect Trump and his cabinet are a group of people who are much more grounded in reality than the bunch of fantasy world people we've had in place on these issues for the last 8 years.
All right. He is Patrick Moore, co-founder of Greenpeace, now CO2 Coalition. Patrick, thanks so much for your insights. As always, we'll have you back when Scott Pruitt goes before the firing squad on Capitol Hill and has to field more junk science questions. Appreciate your time. Thanks again.
Anytime, Dan. Thanks, Amy.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Some hazy sunshine right now, but it's cool. A high today of 26 degrees tonight. Flurries late, a low of 21. And the weekend, it's going to be mostly cloudy both days, but a little bit warmer. Saturday, a high of 32. And on Sunday, 34 degrees. Let's get into the traffic center. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy. The outbound Edens is bottled up from Toohey to Lake Avenue with a crash in the left lane. 32 minutes, Montrose to Lake Cook. Inbound fine at 19. On Kennedy, delays are from Montrose to the Burn Circle. 54 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. 44 from Montrose. 32 in the Express. Hop on 27 at the airport. The Eisenhower, an hour and 12 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, an hour from Manheim. Hop on 31 minutes to Thorndale. Stevenson, 55 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound, it's fine. Ryan, 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. Southbound Lakeshore Drive, still slow from Wilson to Fullerton. Northbound, it's heavy from Bryn Mawr to Hollywood. Northbound Tri-State heavy at 290. 53 northbound, some debris approaching the Adams Tollway and the express lane that's moved off to the right shoulder. I'm Jim Talamonte in the AM 560 Traffic Center.
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow deplorables, ready for America to be great again?
The American people have spoken.
Time to celebrate the Trump-Pence inauguration and Obama leaving office. Don't let the door hit you in the... It's time to take our country back. Don't miss the Chicagoland inauguration Deplore-a-Ball. Friday, January 20th at Diplomat West Banquets, 681 West North Avenue in Elmhurst. A great time brought to you by the DuPage Deplorables, a grassroots effort for event planning and discussion for Trump supporters. They hope to raise enough funds to support their populist cause by donating a portion of the proceeds to local township Republicans and other local conservative and Tea Party grassroots organizations. Don't you dare miss the Deplore-a-Ball. Visit their Facebook group page, search for DuPage Deplorables on Facebook, or call 630-359-8200. That's 630-359-8200. The Chicagoland inauguration Deplore-a-Ball. Friday, January 20th at Diplomat West Banquets in Elmhurst. Be there.
We are going to make our country great again.
A great night's sleep is so important to your health. And it's no fun sleeping on a flat pillow, flip-flopping during the night, or waking up feeling unrested. The solution? Order a MyPillow today. MyPillow has a patented interlocking fill that adjusts to your individual sleep needs. It's washable, dryable, manufactured in America, and guaranteed not to go flat for 10 years. And right now is a great time to buy. If you buy one MyPillow, you'll receive another MyPillow plus 2 Go Anywhere pillows for no additional charge. Plus, the MyPillow money-back guarantee if you're not satisfied. Visit MyPillow.com. Click the Radio Listener Special tab and use the promo code AMY. You'll get 2 premium MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows for one low price. Or call 800-489-0201. And be sure to mention the Radio Listener Special and the promo code AMY. That's MyPillow.com or 800-489-0201, promo code AMY.
The U.S. economy has been getting stronger, and home values have been increasing. Hi, I'm Jay Farner, president of Quicken Loans. Many of our clients have been taking cash out of their homes, a strategy that might work for you. The smart move is for you to refinance your mortgage right now with Quicken Loans. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 4.375%. APR 4.51%. Call 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS ConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Highland Park Ford Lincoln's in the house. Here's Alan Marty.
We're back on the radio and getting bigger than ever.
We're the #1 Lincoln dealer in town.
And Chicagoland's first ever Ford Lincoln Superstore, too.
Folks like our great deals, for sure.
Just yesterday, I got attacked by the paparazzi.
Really?
But I think the groupies are the worst.
Groupies?
All the Highland Park groupies we have.
Sure. Right, Al.
The Highland Park Ford Lincoln Superstore. Call 1-800-984-9000 or go to alanmarty.com.
Well, I have groupies.
A rich fantasy life is important.
This is Alan Marty. Deal with us.
Scoundrels are not exclusive to politics. They're smart enough to occupy necessity service industries like the automotive business.